Although I have to say, we had 3 days last week where I could actually get the fuck outside, and it healed my soul. We've been doing winter in Minnesota since mid-October straight. And we hit like 70, 80 degrees for 3 days in a row. And just, I'm a nerd in the sheets. I don't know, but I think I am an outdoorsy person in the streets.
Yeah.
I think is how that has to go.
Oh, a nerd in the sleeves, as in card sleeves, and a freak in the leaves?
Well, all right.
Okay.
That works for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious where you were going with it, but yeah.
Yeah. A
You brought
nerd
it
in the
home.
sleeves, a freak in the leaves. Oh, boy.
Sometimes when I start a sentence, I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
Yeah, we this week has been the first time we've been, Fahrenheit in the 50s, 60s, like high 50s, low 60s, and so it's just like
Swimming weather.
yeah. Andy never realized about my seasonal depression. Yeah, I saw a GIF about seasonal depression. It's like it's summer now. Now it's just normal depression. Like oh,
I mean, I'll fucking take it for how long this winter was, man.
Yeah.
Like, gladly.
oh.
I've lived in Minnesota and, well, a little bit in North Dakota, but it's basically the same thing my entire life. And I will always and forever underestimate how bad it gets by the end of winter.
This one was real bad, though.
I tell myself that every year, but I'm willing to believe that's true this time.
No, this one is because I don't know if I've told you my thing with winter is I can compartmentalize it to winter occurs between December and February. And yes, it gets cold or might snow on either side of it, but those are the 3 months. And if I hunker down and it's at least not fully snowy ahead of it or not the weather we've had on the backside of it, it's fine. So most years,
whoopsie.
most years it's fine. This year it's trying to break me.
It was both front and back loaded, which it's just a thick winter. So I don't even know what's normal anymore. Like I feel like the weather's gotten so erratic.
Yeah.
That like it's just I don't know. Anyway,
I definitely heard you wrong there. I thought you said the weather got erotic.
Erotic. Well, welcome to Meteorology Busters, your bi-weekly podcast about the fucking weather.
We put the bi in bi-weekly.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Mythos Busters, investigating the mystery, monsters, and madness of Arkham Horror, the card game.
Hello and welcome to episode 152 of Mythos Busters. I'm Sean. Missed you guys last time. Joining me tonight is Scott. Hey, Scott.
Hello.
I don't know why I picked you first. I know you were like either still eating or freshly off it.
Oh, I'm done. My
brain gave me you first.
My mouth is 100% devoted to the Mythos Busters right now.
All right. Let's see if we can get it to 110.
I'll try.
Joining tonight as well is Justin. Hey, Justin.
Hey, Sean. I want to feel left out there, but I really don't.
We'll see if we get Scott to 110, then we can keep you at like 30%. And like, I feel like that's where your mouth is most comfortable.
Okay.
I was like, all right, it is 50-50 whether Justin is going to follow me all the way through this joke. I respect. It's fine.
My brain got stuck on some variant of the how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop.
That's a valid trigger. Ian is not with us tonight. Life called and he had to answer. But we have got such a fun episode for you guys tonight. We're going to get caught up on a little bit of news. We got a good clutch of voicemails. And then we are going to continue pounding right along through our player card reviews of the Scarlet Keys Investigator expansion. And tonight we're going to do some Mystics. And then, of course, we'll round it out with a little bit of Tentacle time. But, of course, before we get to any of that, let's do a quick check-in, guys. What Arkham has been happening for you lately, if any? Because we've got a lot going on.
Well, for me, it's been the nonstop train of Iron Man planning.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which picked up a lot of steam yesterday in particular.
Yeah, yesterday, today, and it's just been, oh boy. The thing I noticed, and Ian pointed this out too when we were chatting, is that Innsmouth doesn't have a lot of big story choices. You know, like you get to the end of the scenario, you got to choose this or that or whatever. But there's essentially a lot of points during the scenarios where you have to choose: can we finish this without dying, or do we need to, or like, can we go get that extra XP? Can we actually go get that memory or that key? So I think that adds a little bit more complexity to the Iron Manning situation, because, you know, you don't have necessarily like 5 to 10 minutes to mull it over. You kind of be like, well, we got to get this train on the road. So do you think we can do it? Yes, no, okay, like just quit, or yes.
Ultra
and then you're like,
fast risk assessment.
yeah, ultra fast risk assessment. So, yeah, and one thing too about I'm kind of looking at our run, and I'm like, you know what? If we can do the ultimate ending, that would be great. But there are so many points of failure, and if you fail one of those 14 points of failure, you can't do it.
I know.
So, I don't know. But each of those points, they all come with victory points too. So it's kind of like, well, aim for it, and if we just, you know, if you miss the moon, you know, shoot for the moon, you land among the stars, whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't think we'll get the ultimate ending, but
Innsmouth is a little bit brutal in that way. Like you said, like all the pivot points are like in scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not making those choices as like an overall path that you've drawn yourself ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know, we're deciding strategy and hoping for the best when it actually comes time to play it.
Well, especially when you look at Devil Reef, which is just like an absolute RNG fest of where keys are and which ones you need for what islands and which key. Like, it just that one
and
can
which
just
enemies
be,
you get when it's already dicey.
Yeah, Devil Reef is just brutal. So, yeah, Billy Beyond, we do have a fighting chance if someone's running Luke. Well, let me tell you, I've also
on next month's episode.
Yeah, I really do have to just mention what deck I'm working on right now for Luke. Is an Astronomical Atlas forced learning deck, also down the rabbit hole. Oh god, with Ravenquill. The Ravenquill report returns.
It's so many things. Is that for the Atlas?
Yep. It's 4 XP, and it's basically the one option where it's when you play the Ravenquill, instead of attaching to a named asset, whatever, you may search your deck, discard pile, and hand for a copy of that asset and play it. So it's copies 3 and 4 of Astronomical Atlas.
Okay.
So, and Astronomical Atlas just
Yeah.
makes me chuck cards at tests and pass them, hopefully, and then draw those cards and then use them again. And
That is what
Yeah.
it does.
Mhm.
Is that a level 3 card?
it is, so I'm starting with
Are
one
you...
copy.
Yep, okay.
In the
that
thick of
was
it.
my next question.
Yep. And then I
Okay,
have-
so then for down the rabbit hole, does that doesn't help nor hurt you? That keeps it as a... No, but you're still buying a second copy, right?
Yeah, so I had to buy the second copy for 4 XP, but then everything else in my deck,
Okay.
like, that is the only time I'll pay extra. So,
Oh, that's right. You got Ravenquill and Servitor, right?
yeah. Oh, and Power Word.
And Power Word.
Well, Ravenquill, I can only go up to 4 XP. So,
That's true.
yeah, and it starts ticking itself off. So,
Do you have your XP path like mapped out, or is it just still kind of like a medium to vague idea in your head?
I have the final deck at like 38 XP. But like the crucial amount of XP is 23 or something.
Ooh, okay, that's not nothing.
So like final build
but
is
you're going to
23.
get a lot of that for free.
Yes. So, yeah, I have the end part, and I have a lot of different, like, I power up, you know, like Power Word, Summon Servitor, get the Atlas, obviously, and the Ravenquill, and after that, it's just a ton of nice-to-haves, you know, just, yeah, so.
Silas says, Luke, let me break this campaign, Robinson.
Yeah, wall clip
I'm
and
gonna
Luke.
go- Luke, hold my beer, Robinson.
Yeah. Hold my gate box.
How many times in the past 48 hours have we messaged between each other with the format, oh, but X event in Luke?
Yeah. Oh, a dozen? Usually all
feel
in
like-
caps.
We do that pretty regularly just in general because Luke is always getting new toys, but recently it's been a lot.
And it's actually been oddly appropriate because it's happening so frequently that we have a couple different channels going for logistics and our day-to-day for the podcast. And it will start in one channel and then have to gatebox to a different channel and back and forth. And it's everywhere.
Oh. The amount of weird wonky things that can happen with Luke. Is just-
Wanky things too.
Yeah, wanky. Yeah. Those
Wanky
things.
janky.
He does have a private gate box, so
It's true.
Weather has become erotic.
yeah.
Erotic. In a eyes wide shut kind of way. Because Luke has always had that vibe.
And I realize that Ian isn't here, but I kind of want to just share the idea of what he's going with because
Because we've morphed this team. We are Team Waffle.
just it's. I mean, finishing is winning, but I think this year it's Jank is winning
Yeah.
because Ian is going with Leo, like a sniper Leo, with the. Is it the Springfield or the Winchester? I keep on forgetting which one.
I think he was talking about the Springfield.
Right, that's the one that has what's tabooed. It has the extra range.
Yes.
So the thing is, when the gate box is open, he can shoot from his location to any revealed location through the gate box,
Now you're thinking with portals.
which is just. And then I was looking at Devil's Reef today, and the way it sets up, if he's on any ocean location, so either the middle one or one of the 5 like prongs of the star, I guess, he can shoot every single location in the game. Like it just,
Yep.
it's bonkers. So
And then you guys started spinning off on that, and I had decided I'm switching back to Silas. I was thinking Team Tank Tommy, but oh man, I can't build a Tommy deck whose speed I like. He always he's too slow for my personal taste.
yeah,
I'm sure some people have success with it, but anyway, I decided to switch back to Silas because we kind of need an evader for when that is a thing we need. And I'm leaning really hard into all of the evade stuff that like pushes or trades locations or basically anything that can like set up a sniper shot for Leo. So Ian and I are just going to play Duck Hunt the entire campaign, and it's going to be fun. So that's me. I tested and ultimately decided I wasn't going to go with Tommy. And so now I'm starting up a new campaign with this trappy, tricky, evade-focused Silas deck, which is a new one for me. So Silas and Innsmouth, yay, we doing it.
yeah. I just gotta figure out where to put Ethereal Slip into Luke now because
Yes, that was
that was a big revelation today.
yeah. I
Play-
originally was like, Ian, consider it for Leo, and then you're like, wait, how about Luke?
It's like take any single enemy and move them to any revealed location.
Yeah, it's just if you're
Yeah.
in the gate box, Ethereal Slip is insane.
yeah.
And
Well,
we're still figuring out Justin's deck.
And I appreciate that you're figuring out my deck.
I'm pitching an Amanda Glyphs deck that goes hard on tests, but you know we'll see where we land.
I am just happy you're running with it, and I trust you.
I mean,
I'm
I
usually
wouldn't throw
happy
Amanda
to.
at you until like you've tried her and are giving me the thumbs up that you would play Amanda because she's her own speed, really.
Sure. Well, and I can get that in now because my update is quick. I've not played Arkham because I've been finalizing BusterCon merch and ordered the last of the Buster Board swag. But now, once you send me a deck list, I can give it a try.
Hell yeah. Well, let's use that segue to talk a little bit about BusterCon, which is materializing before our eyes in very exciting ways.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up. We're recording mid-end April, and it's June 1 to 4.
It's like 5 weeks away, 5 and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was
Yeah.
the number that did it for me. Oh no,
Yeah,
I
it's-
hadn't gotten there yet.
You know, what? Because it's June 1st to 4th, you think
Yeah,
June.
it's basically May.
June, that's so far away. No, it's the end of May.
That's wonderful. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
We have some really freaking cool stuff. Some of which we've teased, some of which will be for y'all who come. but like get on it, because we're very excited to share all this with y'all. So let's make this as big as we can make it.
My favorite bits of swag have not been spoiled yet. Oof, we got some. I'm just so excited for one in particular. So, but my lips are sealed.
It's very tough because I want to be out there with like, oh my god, look at all this cool stuff we made. But it turns out that a little restraint is worth a little bit. So
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know where to find out more, we're at the point you can just search BusterCon in Google and you'll get there. But you can also go to mythosbusters.com/BusterCon. We've got all the links for signing up, for getting hotels. Got some pictures of the swag we've revealed so far, the Buster board, the test print of the playmat. You guys, how excited are you about that playmat?
Oh, I'm so excited. There's a lot of hidden coded messaging in it. That
I was about to say,
love.
would we call it hidden?
No, it's not. Yeah, blatantly obvious.
Center frame.
Yeah, hidden meaning.
Yeah. I had
Well, it's
someone
funny, we had
message
that-
me this week to basically say, hey, I'm just going to make a guess. Is this symbol X? And I said, yes, it is. Good guess. Thanks. And it was like hours later that was, oh my God. And I just noticed this. And, yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, and it's funny because we actually had that art commissioned so long ago, back when we first hit the goal for BusterCon, which like is actually kind of eons ago. Yeah, I was just so excited to actually see that materialize. So it's a cool playmat. It's the kind of playmat I like, where it's environmental almost, if that makes sense.
Sean, this is
But
from
yeah.
so long ago. Didn't we have Nick drive the art on this?
Yeah,
Yep.
Nick was the one
Yep.
who led the charge on that art. So
Yep.
yeah, it's been a minute.
It's basically an artifact,
Oh,
which fits with the theme. See, you get it? It's like a
double meta. I like it.
yep, got there.
So, guys, if we run over the event plan on podcast yet, I don't think we have. I think that bears at least just a quick sweep through.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
Yeah, I don't think we have either. That's on us. Sorry, everyone. Let's do that.
Yeah.
S-
You got that one?
Yeah. I've got it pulled up. So basically, BusterCon, I want to be very clear that free play and playing exactly how you want to play is encouraged. And I just clapped. So I'm really sorry for anyone whose earphones that I just blew out. I'm gonna do better. But the events that we wanted to throw together were, first of all, we wanted to make sure that anyone who's not had a chance to play any of the standalones that can be played in Epic Multiplayer and have played them in Epic Multiplayer, we want to make sure that that's available. So we've got everything. We've got Labyrinths of Lunacy, we've got The Blob, we've got Machinations Through Time, and we've got War of the Outer Gods events all happening across Thursday and Friday. On top of that, we've got some fun challenge stuff. As when did we first do How Low Can You Go? Was that 2019?
I think that was
Arkham Knights?
TFA Iron Man.
Yeah, so 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Or was it
it's
Carcosa? Maybe 2018?
Was it?
It's been a long time.
All right. It's been 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
But we did a special challenge scenario using the Depths of Yoth scenario as a standalone. And that's basically you just see how low you can go. And the highest or the lowest rather depth level wins. We're running a taboo version of that on Thursday. And then for anyone who just wants to just like completely fuck around, we're doing another one on Saturday if you're not doing Iron Man.
I can't wait to see the non-taboo scores because
I'm curious to know who exists in that Venn diagram of people coming to BusterCon, not playing Iron Man, but want to fuck around with the non-taboo. It's going to be a very special crowd. I know it.
I went to the tape for How Low Can You Go? You talked about it on episode 68 in 2019.
Oh my God.
okay.
That's so long ago. So anyway, that one's fun. I don't know. Depths of Yoth remains one of my favorite scenarios. It's definitely my favorite in TFA. And it's really fun to just play that one out, and it's got a cool little metagame to it. So looking forward to that one. Then of course Saturday, the capstone event of BusterCon as a whole is going to be the Innsmouth Conspiracy Iron Man that we were talking about. In case you've been sitting there scratching your head this whole episode as to what we were talking about, we're going to play through the entire campaign of the Innsmouth Conspiracy with a bunch of people, and we do an opening ceremony where we help everyone who wants draw weaknesses. So that's going to start at about 10:15 when everyone gets settled in at their tables, and boy, everyone, just be ready to play efficiently. We're going to talk about it in our prep episode, but we have 12 hours to play the Innsmouth Conspiracy, and that's going to be tight.
Yeah, it's going to be... I was even considering maybe we do drawing of the weaknesses as people are walking in, and we just stand there, and anyone who wants to line up, you can just show up and we'll do it. Something like that, because minutes are going to matter, I think, this year.
I mean, or we can just get started at 10 o'clock on the dot and then take turns. If it's not your turn at our table to play, let's go around and draw. That helps us and not everyone else, unfortunately. But the extra 10 minutes we get is our prize for putting the con together.
No. Well, hey, what if we did it on Friday? Anyways, we can talk about this later.
Well, I mean, it's the opening
on
ceremony.
air. It's what we're best at.
It's the opening ceremony to Iron Man, so we have to do it on the day. But we'll be as efficient about it as we can.
Yeah.
And then we'll play through. The Zenter closes at 10, so we'll be out at that point. And like I said, for anyone who's not doing Iron Man, we've got the non-taboo How Low Can You Go? We'll have that going. And then as well, we've got 2 Horror, 2 Gears. Scott, this one's your baby. Do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so this is... there was Horror and Higher Gears at the last Arkham Knights, and I thought it was going to be more difficult than it ended up being. And there were some people that basically went infinite. So I fixed it. It's a lot more violent this time. So enjoy that. And it's basically Horror and Higher Gears. It's kind of like a how low you can go, but it's how far you can go instead of how low. And you're racing cars, and it's great fun.
I feel like the game has now become to see how much someone could actually break the scenario and see how many times they can break it to break you. Like, that's become the real challenge.
3 Horrors, 3 Gears next year.
Yeah. Can't wait.
So then, of course, Sunday, the day of sort of rest after Iron Man. Again, free play, completely encouraged if you want to keep playing Arkham, but it's finally happening for everyone else.
Yes.
Us first and foremost. We're going to have Dead CCG Day on Sunday. So we're encouraging anyone to bring any, quote unquote dead card game that's not being officially supported or whatever you want to do. And everyone else can take a minute and try a new game out. I'm looking forward to it.
What dead CCGs are you boys bringing?
I have Star Wars CCG, of course. Star Wars LCG, Conquest. I feel like I have another one. That's all off the top of my head.
Sean?
I'll have Star Wars. I think I might bring Lord of the Rings TCG. Because if I bring Lord of the Rings LCG, the entire fandom will riot and kill me for calling it a dead game. And I'm trying to think. There was one other that I was thinking about. Maybe Netrunner. Like, I own a bunch of Netrunner, but I am so trash at that game. I don't know that it would even be worth anyone's time to play me in it. So maybe I'll jump into someone else's Netrunner that will have better decks built. But yeah, no, I'm maybe gonna do Star Wars, but I'm mostly gonna walk around and try other things. Is my plan.
Yeah, I will be bringing Star Wars Destiny. So if anybody wants to try that out, I will bring a good assortment of different decks.
I will bring my single deck that I
Scott,
thank you.
I will bring the same deck so you don't have to travel with it.
You have all those incredibly rare rares that people were clamoring over?
All of the Jawas?
Yeah.
I'll do that, and then I'm still counting Keyforge as a dead game until it officially re-releases. So, so I'm gonna bring the what I call my Ultra deck library. It's the ones where I've had some of the decks and sold them to get my investment back. Other ones are just top scoring ones, but I've cobbled them together from other decks, which is then the other decks become unplayable. You can never use these in actual competition, but you can see what these insane decks do. It'll be similar to that Gen Con, Sean, where I had you and Ian smash 2 of them together.
That was fun. Yeah, I like Destiny. It's a cool game. And the other one that I didn't think of until someone in chat said it was Game of Thrones 2nd edition. I could do for a melee, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm pretty sure I could get at least Ian in on it with me. Maybe Scott, maybe Justin. I don't know. I don't want to speak for him. I can do a melee.
Hate Game of Thrones melee.
I know you do.
I hate it. I loathe it. I would rather get a tooth pulled. Like
it's my favorite way to play that game.
I cannot think of a less enjoyable thing I could do at a board game convention, or oh goodness.
Nick says in all caps, "Thank you, Scott." Well, clearly it's just I'm the problem. I try melee with my friends and they end up hating it.
I enjoyed that game mode. I didn't care for it as much one-on-one, but then I also fell off the game, so take that for what you will.
Yeah. I know Ian's bringing Middle-earth CCG, which is... Oh boy, if you think Star Wars CCG has a lot of text, they changed the font size on Middle-earth CCG to fit some absolute paragraphs on these cards. It's a ridiculous game. I think it's fantastic, but I've realized now that's the card game that hooked me was Star Wars CCG, so I love that complexity. And so I started trying out Middle-earth CCG, and I'm like, wow, this is just as awesome. But I enjoy novels on cards, so.
Well, 90s customizable card games were a vibe.
Yes, which I loved.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you know, and if you're on the outside of it, then, oh boy, it's a little impenetrable sometimes, but...
I remember getting the Marvel Overpower card game and never actually learned how to play it, even when I had it back in the day, because it was the rules were that obtuse, and I've since collected some of it and hope to try it again, but holy crap, is it a vibe.
Yeah, if anyone out there, I'm just following up on some chatter in chat. If anyone out there has the L5R co-op expansion and wants to try one with me, I would play that. I never got a chance to try that. Just throwing that out there.
I enjoyed the 2 games of L5R that we played.
I'm sure you fucking did.
I know
asshole.
you didn't. Yeah, that was
Scott's
great.
like, what's the most asshole faction I can play? And Josh is like, this one. They'll hate it. And I did.
Yep. I know someone, I think Thoth, was going to bring some Magic Commander deck or a couple. I'll bring mine, because I have one. Yeah. I feel like there's one other card game that I'm forgetting. Anyways, there's going to be I have Game of Thrones 1st edition decks that I might find and bring. But
I'd play a Melee 1st edition.
Ugh.
All right, let's try to meet you halfway, all right?
I don't have melee decks built because that's a disgusting way to play.
They're easier to build because so much of it is just in your decision making and table talk. But
Yes, Big Kahuna, I did play Scorpion. That was the deck I played. I don't know what the other house was or whatever clan.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I know I definitely played Unicorn out of the core. And I collected like 2 packs after that before I was like, I'm not playing this with anyone. What am I doing?
Yeah. Well, anyways, Dead CCG Day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bring shit. I'm excited to play it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to like work around the room and watch other games. Like this is a dream come true. Like, I'm speaking selfishly here. That Dead CCG Day is actually going to happen. So
It's gonna be awesome.
Lovely. And then of course Dead CCG Day ends BusterCon, and we will be very delightful and sad and all of the things as the con closes. It's 4 days, 3 days?
4 days.
Technically?
4 days.
It's 4 days. Yeah. Okay. It's going to go fast. It's going to be great, but it's going to go fast. It's going to be a lot of Arkham.
Oof.
Prep those standalone decks, y'all. That's actually probably a thing we should talk about. Any tips for people for whom BusterCon might be their first in-person Arkham event? I think the common thread is generally bring some standalone decks.
Mm-hmm.
You probably want to bring a few. It's up to your table whether the unique rule is gonna be a problem, because it's not as bad in this game as it was for like Lord of the Rings, for instance, but it's still potentially a thing if you've got uniques in your deck that someone else might bring. But just make sure you bring a range of functions for your decks. Bring a fighter, bring a flex, bring a clover. So that
Bring a
way
jank. Bring a grief.
Yes, bring some shit that you're gonna have fun showing off in front of other people. That's my favorite thing, is seeing people do shit I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the general advice I've always heard is exactly what you said. Like, bring a fighter, bring a clue person, bring kind of a fun flexy thing, and then also, if you have unique allies in your deck, bring like a second choice ally with you just in the deck box, just in case you gotta switch them out. Or, I mean, I've seen tables where it's just like, whatever. Like, 2 people have Pete Sylvester. Who cares? We're here to have fun. You know what I mean? So
beyond that, and then also if you're participating in Iron Man, bring that Iron Man deck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's some discussion as to whether you have like the upgrade path completely mapped out ahead of time, or whether you want to leave yourself some space. I'm currently in the camp of like, I kind of have an idea, but I've never played 4-player Innsmouth before. I don't know how this is going to go. I expect that 4-player Innsmouth is going to scale in some ways that I'm not expecting. So I'm personally leaving myself some sideboard upgrades.
Yeah, I have it mapped pretty finely for like the first 20 XP. And then after that, it gets a little bit loose. And like once you pass 30 XP, like then it's just like, oh, what do I want to buy? This, that, blah, blah, blah. Like I just see how it's running and what do I need. So.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Iron Man real quick, reminder to everyone to sign up. Even if you've got your ticket, we do like to pair people up if they need help, and it just helps us kind of know how many people are planning to participate. So on the BusterCon webpage, there's a link over to a form. It's real quick. Love to have you. And if you show up and haven't signed up, we'll make it work. But it helps us plan.
And one of the best parts about signing up for Iron Man is you get to pick a team name. And most people kind of choose the temperature of like a trivia team name. So they're all hilarious and great. And I very much enjoy reading through them every year. So think about that as well. And then what else? Probably if you're going to bring any games for Dead CCG Day, do that. And then just bring some scenarios would be my advice. Obviously, if you have any of the multiplayer scenarios that we're going to be playing, that's always going to be helpful. We can provide a few, but we are asking anyone who can to bring 1 or 2 of those, or at least the ones that they intend to participate in. And then bring just a few standalone scenarios. Like if you decide you want to get in a pickup game and no one wants to play the multiplayer, the standalones, I don't know why that would happen. They're all great, but it's nice to have. Like, I don't know, I brought Depths of Yoth. Pallid Mask was another one that's really cool to play in standalone. Just
City of Archives
game. Yeah.
City of Archives is always great.
Yes.
Because people look at their deck box and they're like, shit. Who do I play in this? And then one person's like, I brought a Lola deck, and it's just their time to shine. That is... Whew.
And speaking of standalone scenarios, there was one little bit that I kind of glossed over.
You sure did.
And I'm glad that I thought about it now, and I hope someone would have caught me if I hadn't. But for any of you fans of Consternation on the Constellation, we have a beta version of our next scenario. That, should we spoil the name? Is that a fun thing?
Yeah, let's do the name.
Is that going to be fun? Look, if you listen to the episode where we brainstormed this, there are no surprises here. Like you heard what the plan was. So this is not like hidden information. But our next scenario is going to be the Black Woods of the Goat. And we're going to have a beta version for testing and playing at BusterCon. We are grateful and happy if anyone's got feedback for us. It's in a really good place, I think, but it's not quite finished. But we wanted to get it out there. Oh, Nick. But anyway, so that's going to be fun. So, Black Woods of the Goat, is going to be available at BusterCon to try out. And, sometime after the con, when we're able to actually button it up and get it all finalized, then that'll be out for consumption just like Constellation is. So, yeah.
I'm so
Looking forward to
excited to
that.
have people try it out. There's so many aspects of that scenario that I just love. So many pieces we put in. And, yeah, just to get it all tight and tidy, it'll be great.
Yeah, and, anyone who wants to take the time to give us feedback, we're really grateful for that. What a cool way to do a boots on the ground playtest than at BusterCon. So, yeah, gonna be a good time. Boys, anything about BusterCon that I missed?
I just had a reminder to anybody who hasn't been to a con before or hasn't been to one of these Arkham events. We've had some questions about that come up in Discord, and my advice on it is don't stress. It's going to be a good time, but new things can be a little daunting. Everybody's here to play this game we all love. And so if you need help finding a game, if you just need to talk to somebody in general about, hey, I love playing Silas and no one seems to, it's a bad example, but no one ever wants to talk about playing Silas, you will find people here. Just feel free to reach out. That can be tough, but this is the best place possible to do that when we all have this shared interest.
It's fantastic. All right, lovely. Well, let's move it on then to a little bit of hotline catch up. So like I said, we've got 3 messages to get through tonight. I'll remind everyone that in addition to recording live in our Discord, you can join the Mythos Busters Discord. Please do if you haven't already. You can also call into the podcast on the Mythos Busters hotline. That's 209-493-6984 and leave us a message with thoughts, questions. We've had topics suggested to us. It's a great little line for our listeners to call in and have a voice on the podcast. We're always glad to hear from everyone. That's 203-493-MYTH. Our first message tonight comes from Jadim Jedi, and I'm just going to warn everyone there are light spoilers for the Scarlet Keys. It's nothing heavy, just a couple card names, story places, that sort of thing. So if you prefer not to talk about any of that, maybe skip ahead just a little bit. But here we go.
Hello, Mythos Busters. This is Jadim Jedi. Got Scarlet Keys spoilers here as I think about your difficulty with the campaign and my own difficulty with it when I first started it. I think a lot of us, have to make that choice early on if you're going to go the tablet path or the Elder Thing path. The tablet path is a lot more of the cooperating with the coterie, and a lot of your missions, you side with them. In fact, may even have them as allies to help you during the mission, which makes that a lot easier. Whereas if you take the Elder Thing path, not only do you have to do the normal things in the mission, you also have to usually defeat the coterie on top of it as some part of the mission. Alaska is a good example where you can have the Sable Glass to help you and make that a whole lot easier to go and find your wilderness stuff, or you have to defeat the enemy, the coterie there, as well as do all the regular stuff for the mission, getting clues, etc. So my conclusion is that this is a campaign where a character like Tony Morgan is great. High fist power, Switchblade makes it easy to go and do tests for exposes and fighting, lots of actions. There is a lot of fighting in this campaign. In the past, maybe I might have, like for Dunwich and other campaigns, I might have done like 3 Seekers and 1 Fighter, speed through on clues and just have a fighter that can handle the boss. Whereas in Scarlet Keys, I think that's flipped now. And if you're going that Elder Thing path, you probably would rather have 3 fighters and 1 clue person, maybe a second person who can do a little bit of cluing to help support that. I just think it's a really heavy fighting campaign, especially if you go the Elder Thing path. So that's my take. Hope that helps, and interested to hear your feedback as well.
Thoughts?
Yeah, maybe I'm just coming at it from the wrong way. A lot of my plays have been solo, and maybe I just need to take solo Mark and just murder things.
Or Tink Tank Tony.
Yeah, Tink Tank Tony. Tony's a good call, actually. Because I haven't played Tony in a while, and I absolutely love his playstyle, and he is not bad solo. He is surprising solo.
Is it disgraceful to say that Tony is possibly the only rogue that I've never taken through a campaign? I've done a few standalones, but I've yet to ever play Tony through a campaign. And not for any reason. I like it.
Yeah.
I like him. I like what he's doing. I've just not gotten there yet.
Yeah, no, he's
Yeah.
good.
So, God, I think that I have to be completely forthcoming here. I've not played any further TSK since the last time we've checked in on it. I've been all Innsmouth all the time. Probably won't actually get around to playing TSK until after BusterCon. But the non-linear part of that campaign structure makes the conversation of like optimal path so weird.
Yes.
Not bad, but just like completely unknown. I am out of my depths trying to say anything with any confidence.
It does change the conversation because you can't say like, oh yeah, when you hit, scenario 4 and you're hitting Devil Reef, wow, does that ever change this? Like, you could be on the other side of the world as the other person, and not, you've only played the same first scenario and everything else is different. And so that changes a lot of things. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I've kind of put it to the side just for now, just because of Innsmouth Iron Man and preparing for that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take Tony through. So that's gonna be as soon as I get back from BusterCon. Solo Tony through Scarlet Keys. That's my goal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, I mean, like I know I'm gonna end up loving that campaign when I eventually figure it out to my satisfaction, but damn, it is taking me a minute because I just can't give it the time it needs. But that is definitely something I'm going to keep a closer eye on, because that's an interesting dimension, is because it's, for those of you who have played, again, light mechanical spoiler, the token composition mechanic isn't completely linked to, do you go with this side or this side, like it is with, I think TFA is a good example. Can't remember, does TCU do anything like that? I don't think TCU does.
Carcosa did, right? No.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, with Conviction and Doubt, it changed, but it like changed the mix each scenario based on what you had going on, and like the mix was, Carcosa is just weird. Anyway, that is, it's not just going coterie or going agency that changes the mix of your bag. It's when do you choose to trust versus when do you not. And then you lay that on top of what Janeem talked about, where you decide whether you're going up with the help of these magic artifacts or against, with them being wielded against you. Like it's I'm really just describing the fun intricacies of this campaign.
Yeah.
But I sure haven't figured them out yet.
I think one thing I took away from this too is that Janine brings up a really good point that if you really want to bust through other campaigns, you just brought 3 Seekers and a Killer, right? And you just vacuum up clues. But I really do think that this campaign, part of its shtick, like each campaign has a shtick, right? Like, and how the enemy, like TFA was like, let's evade everything, and then Innsmouth is like, don't engage anything, and TCU was like, don't investigate anything unless you're gonna pass for sure. And maybe this one is just, you need way more enemy management than you need cluing, which is a departure from how many times have we talked about it, right? Where like you get clues, that's the way you win the game, and enemies are just a speed bump. Now it's like, well, there's a lot of speed bumps. So
yeah, and if we accept that as a true maxim, that is definitely a place I've been failing. And when I look at my team comps the last few times I've tried, they've either both been flexi investigators, or it's been leaning a little bit more toward the, like, we're just going to try to go fast and get clues type strategy, which certainly it doesn't seem like TSK really fucks around with. Yeah. So next time, I'm learning lessons. I'm learning that this personal time off for me is actually a boon, because I get to listen to everyone else's experience and wisdom before I tackle it again. So
Big Kahuna put something very pertinent in chat. Enemy management is how you don't lose the campaign.
Yep.
as
there we
opposed
go.
to how you win the campaign, which I think is the most true for TSK.
That tracks. That tracks. Most of my losses have been swarm losses.
Yeah, it's not time, right? Like, it's not, oh no, we read out the doom clock. It's, I am getting destroyed. Yeah.
Oh, cool. No, we'll continue to learn until we finally get around to it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, voicemail number 2 tonight comes from Jesse, the Ancient Eldritch Horror.
Hey, Mythos Busters. This is Jesse, also known as the Ancient Eldritch Horror around the Discord. I'm calling as a follow-up to my comment the other week about Underworld Market and how that's the most exciting card for me out of TSK. Well, I wanted to first say I think maybe why I got excited about this, and this is going to lead into my second point, the reason why I'm calling. One of the things that excites me about Underworld Market is it allows you to take cards out of your deck that otherwise may be difficult to find or that might be susceptible to certain encounter card effects, like, hollow effects in TSK, or pesky weaknesses like Through the Gates, or certain encounter cards that discard cards or off the top of your deck, or have you place cards from your deck out of play. It makes them all immune to that. I feel like Kamani was the investigator that came out with Underworld Market and they get the additional 5 XP because that feels like they were intended to start with Underworld Market. And let me tell you, if you have not played a level 0 Kamani deck with Underworld Market, it makes a big, big difference. So one of the things I also really like doing is it makes certain assets very reliable to find, like your pickpocketing, lockpicks, anything like that. I love including 1 copy of Fence because it is an XP. You'll find it. You'll find any card in that deck within 5 turns. And that's really, really cool. And I saw someone use it in a Tony deck, which allowed him to keep all of his guns in that deck, which means he almost always had a gun or a level 2 switchblade whenever he needed it. And that was awesome. Now, the main crux of why I was calling is because I guess the culmination of all of this was thinking about a Winnie deck in which all of her assets are in the Underworld Market deck, leaving her Investigator deck to be nothing but skills and events. And maybe you throw in an Underworld support so that that deck is very, very small. And anyway, that kind of thing really excites me. But I wanted to put the call out to everybody listening, that to see what they could come up with the Underworld Market deck. And in particular, see what kind of Winnie decks that people could come up with using that. And I think we find some really, really fascinating, interesting, and extremely fun decks. So anyway, I just wanted to just follow up with that. And I wanted to see what interesting things people might discuss about it, or what interesting Winnie decks people might come up with. Anyway, love what you guys do, and hope to hear from you guys soon. Bye.
So while he was talking, about 2/3 through that voicemail, I opened up ArkhamDB and I've started building this Winnie deck. Because
Yep, it sounds really juicy, doesn't it?
Underworld Market, Underworld Support in Winnie, where all your assets are in the market, that just, that grabbed me, grabbed my soul.
Mm-hmm. It's
Oh.
really juicy. And Winnie's one of those investigators that I latch onto because she plays so differently anyway. But leaning out the window and grabbing a lamppost and swinging out of the bus in that direction sounds pretty fun. I pulled up a list of illicit cards. Missing last episode, didn't have a chance to actually think hard enough about this card than I normally would when we do card reviews. But it's a good list of illicit cards. It's really good.
Yeah, this is
like all the weapons, basically.
Thieves Kit, guaranteeing you're going to be able to use her enormous agility to investigate. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow, I need to build this deck. There's no ifs, ands about it. Like, it just, that's so good.
But like even backing up to Underworld market as a whole, you know, we've talked about it a bit, but it's kind of, it's like Rogue stick to the plan, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever really gave it that weight when I was looking at it before, but now that I'm looking at this list of illicit cards, and so many of these are cards that are near auto includes in any Rogue build that I've ever done. Like, yeah, it's a 4 XP stick to the plan for Rogue, and it's very Rogue, so yes, love it.
Yeah.
Great card.
Yeah, stick to the plan, Rogue. Yeah.
I want like a summoning circle where we have something like this for Mystic.
Yeah.
Duke and or Nick.
Well, we have kind of the Seeker one, kind of, that allows you to do the skills.
That's not as good, Scott. It's not purple.
No, well, I mean, it's not as good, period. Like, it's still great. Like, it's first 5 turns, draw 5 cards, right? Like, that's fantastic. You know, they're going to be skills. I've used it a lot in solo, but okay, I need to build this Winnie deck.
Cool. Send me that build when you're done with it. I'm interested.
Okay. Give me 20 minutes. No, just kidding.
All right, solid reporting. Let's pack it up.
Yep.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you, Jesse. Our last message tonight comes from Catherine or Corrupt Kitty on our Discord, and it's about Ancient Evils, which piques my curiosity. So let's go here.
Ooh.
This call is a long time in the making. So long that between when Sean asked me and now, I got hired by FFG and had to run this call past our marketing department. And so now, finally, I'm here to defend an encounter card near and dear to my heart, Ancient Evils. Everyone loves to hate Ancient Evils, but for me it is a metaphor of sorts. Sometimes in life, bad shit happens no matter what you think you plan to head for. Most of us have gone through at least one unexpected bump in the road that has thrown things off tracks, disrupted plans, or took away time from us that we thought we had and don't get back. Just like when you see that darn encounter symbol in setup, we can only accept that we've prepared as best we can and wait for the curveballs life will throw us. Occasionally, you've got a ward in your back pocket, some resource you have access to that can wash away the unexpected issue. However, many times we don't have that quick fix at our fingertips and just have to do the best we can to roll forward, even if the game plan now involves changing goals, foregoing some XP, resigning early, and moving on to the next scenario.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I feel like we could do a whole ass episode on Ancient Evils, and probably we should at some point. But it is such a fascinating piece of this game. And it, like, there's so many components to it. There's the mechanical component where you get to talk about like how many, you know, actions you potentially lost, which is itself a tricky conversation. And then there's the part where like nothing actually happened to you when you drew the encounter card, which is itself an entire different part of the conversation. Then there's like the emotional layer where you get a scenario that like loops its encounter deck, like, I don't know, Dark Side of the Moon. I'm looking at you. And when you see Ancient Evils in that set, your soul dies a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. What an interesting card.
Yeah, it's also it's interesting to think about how it is just a card that the entire community knows about and has feelings about, right? Like everyone knows that card. You know that card by name, right? Like everyone knows what it says almost verbatim. And there's emotions around it and thoughts and talks, and it just, yeah, it's what an incredibly well-designed card from the core set. So
yeah, and you guys know how I love theme, and so that's the struggle, and I guess the win of it for me is I go back and forth between, wow, this is really well done, it fits the everything like the voicemail was mentioning, and then throw on and on top of that, all the cosmic bad is coming. It fits the theme really well. But on the days where I just want to play my game, and it just depends on where it catches me, but it makes me think about it. So it's sort of the there's no bad publicity, and we're talking about ancient evils.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. For better or for worse, it is so impactful on the psyche of every player that ever picked up Arkham Horror, the card game.
Mm-hmm.
We really should get around to that episode. Next time we're like strapped for ideas, let's do that one.
We'll get there.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you to Jadeem, to Jesse, and to Catherine for calling in. We love to hear from you guys. Always a great time. Quick reminder to everyone that you too can call in and give us things to talk about on the podcast. That's 203-493-6984. Or if you could tell from the quality, you can be like Catherine and pre-record and send it in that way if calling into a live voicemail gives you a little bit of anxiety. And why wouldn't it? All right, wonderful. Guys, we're an hour in. Let's get to our main Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk some purple curds.
Sean, I want to talk the purple curds, but should we thank our patrons?
Oh, yeah, we didn't. Yes, thank you.
Ian's not here, so...
Yep.
Justin, what's going on with the patrons?
I got that. I had the backstop for if you forgot to talk about the scenario. I got you, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
So I will spin through that, and then I'll let you talk about your mystics. So
okay.
All right. First off, as usual, thank you to our board members: Chris B, Chris H, Chris M, our conglomeration of Chris's, Morton, Jared, Ian, Kyle, Philip, Patrick, Abilio, Jesse, Chad, Robert, and Walker. Thank you so much, and thank you to all of our patrons for your support. You make a lot of what we do possible, including BusterCon.
Mm-hmm.
Special shout out to a random patron today is Sherman Smith. Thanks, Sherman. We love and appreciate you.
Thanks, Sherman.
And then, along with all of our patron items, we always talk about mythosmerch.com. So go out there if you want to get any Mythos Busters swag. If you are wearing any Mythos Busters swag in the wild, we always love getting pictures of that. It's neat to encounter that. And remember that mythosmerch.com is where we are selling any of the BusterCon swag. We're not going to have swag at the con itself. So order ahead of time
Clothing
if you'd like to have
swag,
it there.
merch swag.
Yes.
We'll have the normal swag there.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, if you want to have a BusterCon t-shirt, order it ahead of time. We are not at a place we can deal with inventory, and this way the store takes care of it for us. So that is everything, Sean. Talk about them purple cards.
Woo! Let's go. All right. I need to... Mythos merch. I don't know if anyone else has noticed. I don't think we've mentioned it on the podcast yet, but we have a gold and black version of our BusterCon logo. That is so sexy.
Mm-hmm.
And we added a bunch of merch for that logo specifically. So go enjoy that. I know I will.
These first 3 cards are going to take us a very long time.
Oh, that's right. We don't have to talk about Amina. We did it differently this time. I was all
We
ready
did?
to talk about Amina, but we did that already.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're covering a living card game. What else covers living things, Scott?
Living Ink sure does. So Living Ink is a mystic asset. Cost 0, level 0, but it's customizable. No icons. Customizable. Ritual traded. When you purchase Living Ink, choose a skill and circle it on its upgrade sheet. Uses 3 charges. Remove 1 charge from Living Ink at the start of each of your turns. If Living Ink has no charges, discard it. Then you get +1 to the chosen skills.
Mm-hmm.
I think at level 0 this is certainly playable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're Mystic, you're probably gonna go Willpower, it's a cost 0 body slot. Oh, sorry, it also has a body slot. Takes up the body slot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's pretty decent.
I think it's pretty decent, and even for those who maybe have off-class Mystic access, it's worth looking at your other stats too. Like I took this in a Sister Mary deck recently, and she's using it for combat because she's doing regular fighting for the most part. But yeah, it's as a little 0 drop, lasts you for 3 turns, just a straight skill boost.
Yep.
I think it's pretty playable.
Yeah.
Gets better if you've got a way to cheat out assets for free actions or whatnot. But
Yep. I think, even like Daisy taking it for intellect. Who knows?
Sure.
Rocking around with a 6 for anything else. All right, so customizable. So there's the chosen skill, but shifting ink for 1 XP. You may play living ink under the control of another investigator at your location. Another one for subtle depiction. At the start of your turn, you may choose not to remove 1 charge from living ink and ignore its ability for the remainder of the round. That's cool. 2 XP, imbued ink. Living ink enters play with 2 additional charges and takes up an arcane slot instead of a body slot. 2 XP, eldritch ink. Choose another skill. Eldritch ink for 3. Choose another skill. And then 3 for macabre depiction. Living ink gains reaction. After you reveal a chaos token with a symbol, exhaust living ink. Place 1 charge on it. That's cool. And then the last one for 3 XP, vibrancy. Living inks grants an additional +1 to the chosen skills and -1 to each other skill. Dump stat.
I mean, Mystic has the most of them, so it's like all of the other ones.
Yep. Why not?
So I feel like the biggest one to point out in my experience is subtle depiction. It's a very easy 1 drop on the customizable upgrade, and for that you get to stretch out the turn usage of your living ink, and it's nice because there are some turns, depending on what you're using this for, where you're planning to move, or you're planning to draw, or you're planning to get rid of this double action treachery in your threat area, and there are turns where you straight up will not need the skill boost. And it's very nice to be able to extend the life of living ink, at least across those turns where you don't need to use it.
I definitely like the macabre depiction as well.
So does Sister Mary.
Oh my goodness! After we have chaos token with a symbol, like with bless and curse. Oh my goodness, that's too good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Now it is balanced in that you only get 1 extra charge per turn, but like if you're running Blurse, you'll get it. So
yeah, so that it just stays forever. Yeah. And if you include that with subtle depiction, like that's 4 XP for the 2 copies or whatever. And this is not unique, so you could have 2 out. Oh no, because body slot. Oh, unless you make it. Well, unless you make it imbued ink, then you get arcane.
There it is. Yep. So for 6 XP, you can have 2 out.
For 6 XP, you can have 2 out, so +2 to a skill forever, essentially. But then, so that's 6 XP over 2 cards for +2 to a single skill. Okay, there's better deals out there for that. But
there is, but in Mystic,
yes,
it's not as accessible. So I think particularly because this is a purple card, this sits in a special slot. Like there are obviously most Mystics will want a willpower, but there are some Mystics that do just straight up want a second stat. So 2 cost for another Eldritch Ink and get a second stat out of it. That's really solid. If you're in the case where like you don't and you just want an additional +1, Vibrancy is only 3, and then suddenly you're +2 to the stat. And if you're Mystic and you really only care about willpower, that's a 0 drop +2 to your stat, and that's pretty good.
I mean, I'm thinking of like even Agnes, if you've got her boyfriend Peter out, and you add Eldritch Ink, choose another skill, Agility, right? Like what that put her at 4 agility
I put
or
her
5?
at 5.
5. Like 5 agility on a Mystic.
You can do work.
What is this world we're living in?
Yeah, and what's cool about this is there are some customizables, and this is just a personal thing. It's not like I'm calling them bad in any way, but there's some customizables where I look at the customization options, and there are some that I'm just like, I will never take that.
Yeah.
But I can see builds and reasons to take every single one of these, depending on what you're doing. So, like the idea of a Diana build where you imbued ink, and instead of willpower, you're buffing all of her other stats. So, like by mid game, you're like 6-4-4-4. That's fun. Yeah. Anyway, I really like this. It doesn't ask a ton of you, and it's pretty impactful for a stat boost, which Mystic is oddly bereft of.
Yeah. Now, Justin, if I ask you to read the next one, does that mean I have to discard Sean?
I will go to the bathroom, though. Be right back.
What I'm saying is, Sean, you're an asset. He's already gone.
Aw.
Oh,
No, I was here for that. Thanks, Scott.
You could feel the love. He just stuck around for it. I can absolutely read the next one. Summon Servitor. It is an asset. It is an ally. It takes up an arcane slot. Summon traded. Costs 2. Has a willpower test icon. Customizable. As an additional cost to play Summon Servitor, you must discard another asset you control. Summon Servitor enters play at your location. It can take one action during each of your turns, which can only be used to take the following action. Move Summon Servitor to a connecting revealed location. Customizations. All right. For 1 tick box, Armored Carapace. Summon Servitor gains a health value of 3. It can be assigned damage dealt to any investigator at its location. Also for 1 tick mark, Claws That Catch. Add this action, Fight. You fight any enemy at this location with a base combat of 4. Ignore the aloof and retaliate keywords for this attack. Next customization for 1 tick mark, Jaws That Snatch. Add this action, Evade. You attempt to evade any enemy at this location with a base agility of 4. Ignore the alert keyword for this evasion attempt. Man, we still have 2 more of these for single tick marks. The next one is Eyes of Flame. Add this action, Investigate. You investigate this location with a base intellect of 4. Last one for 1 is Wings of Night. After Summon Servitor moves from your location to a connecting location, you may move to that location as well. Then we start getting more expensive 2 tick marks. Dominance. Summon Servitor no longer takes up an Circle 1, Arcane, or Ally slot. Oh, and that's the thing to clarify. It's that it is both slots to start.
Yeah.
Then 3 tick marks, Dreaming Call. Instead of discarding another asset you control in order to play Summon Servitor, you may return that asset to its owner's hand. And then the last one for a whopping 5 tick marks, Demonic Influence. Summon Servitor can take 2 different actions instead of 1 during each of your turns.
Quite
That's
the
a
card.
lot. That's a lot.
It is.
I have not had a chance to play with this one at all. Scott, walk me through it.
Well, so it asks a lot in that you have to have another asset to discard, and when you don't mind discarding. But if you have some sort of ally that you're done using, that works, right? You can
Or
discard
one
the
that
ally.
has Doom on it, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And then at first, like, if this at level 0 is absolute hot garbage. Like, it can move. Congratulations. Like, you really do need some XP to go in. But it's the extra action to me. Like, it's once you get this buffed up a bit, so it takes only maybe 1 slot, and you have some static boosts. So if you want it to investigate, if you have like a +2 intellect from something, it'll be at 6 as a base stat. And that's pretty good. And it's just 1 extra action per turn. It's going around doing whatever. Cleanup or evading is a really good one.
So you would probably be, you're saying if this had between, let's say, 3 and 5 experience to get the, only takes up a single slot and has some of those other things on it. That's where it starts to become more usable.
Yeah. Like, to me, I feel like you want to get at least 3 XP in there to get the single
bare
slot.
minimum.
Yeah. Single slot and 1 thing it can do that's productive besides move.
Do you think it's more common that you have like a specific use in mind in regards to like fighting, evading, or investigating versus you buy all 3 and just need it to be flexible?
I definitely think for me at least, the times I've used this, and how I'm planning to use it for Iron Man, I do have a very specific plan.
What are you planning to do with Iron Man? I haven't heard that yet.
Well, I'm playing Luke, as you know.
Tune in next month to learn more.
It's now the Luke cast. Sean, I want you to read Dreaming Call, the real quick. I'll just read it. Instead of discarding another asset you control in order to play a summoned servitor, you may return that asset to its owner's hand. What does Luke have from the start of the game that's out there that once it runs out of charges...
This is a gatebox recurring tool. Oh, no. That's awesome.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're following the Doctor Who line, like this is your companion, is the summoned servitor.
I guess so. So yeah, you pop that dream box into hand, you play it back down with 3 more, what do you call them, charges on it.
We do.
You're good to go.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I'm debating in Iron Man whether I'm going to take the investigate or the agility or the evade one, but maybe both. Quite honestly,
Sure.
Like to have it move
there
over.
are some locations where you can just camp it down and like for a couple turns grab clues for 1 action a turn. That's not bad.
Like there's some like 2 clue locations, especially ones that get fully flooded. Right? Like the ones that enter fully flooded, they've got 2 shroud and 8 clues. So
now the Wings of Night is pretty good too, right? Because you basically get a free move action per turn as long as you're sticking around the summoned servitor.
yeah, I think my plan with it specifically is that it's going to
Send
go
it
off and
off.
do something else.
Sure.
Because Innsmouth is like, hey, can you cover this entire map? No? Well, it sucks to be you. So this is just another tool to kind of try and do that.
I have yet to actually play with this card, but it's like tipsy top on my to-do list because I love the idea as a mystic where you get to just like create a familiar.
Mm-hmm.
You just like build a minion over here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like there have been I actually saw a thread about this recently. There's like the idea out there for people who find true solo to be really hard but don't want to move to like two-handed solo. The idea of like a dummy investigator that you still play solo but there's a little bit of help there from like another quote-unquote player. And this isn't that far off once you get some XP into it.
Yeah. It really can be really efficient for very little XP. Yeah.
Especially if you have a specific job for it.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, if you've got like a big threatening enemy that's got low evade, you could basically just camp this on the enemy's location, keep evading it every turn.
Yep.
Now, my question is, can you use your normal actions to trigger these abilities, or does the summon servitor only... No, it literally says.
Yeah, no.
Can only be used to take the following actions.
Yeah.
All right. I had to dream for a moment.
Yeah. We can all dream.
You can commit cards to them like they're your tests, though, still, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they considered basic tests? For instance, if I had this in like a Patrice or an Agnes build, could I use things like brute force and whatever the clue one is that I can't remember right now?
I don't think so because it's on a card, essentially.
Okay, that makes sense.
I know
It's an interesting card.
Big Kahuna is talking to the chat about whether this can pop in the gate box with Luke, and I'm not sure it can. Although, I mean... You could play it.
It's an asset. It's not an enemy or an investigator.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, what happens when
it absolutely can.
a location gets put out of play and there's an asset added? It gets discarded.
Yep.
So
it'd be discarded.
move through the gate box, but don't leave it there.
But it can only move once per turn, or it can only take 1 action. So.
I mean, it seems like it would get Ghostbustered here, where it's the giant spooky thing and it's trapped in the box.
Yeah, pretty much.
I won't stop you from house ruling that one.
Yeah.
I'll add it to the list.
All right, let's talk about my favorite card in the box.
Yep, saved it for you.
All right, so we've got Power Word, which is a customizable mystic event. It is 3 cost. It has 1 intellect icon. It is spell traded, customizable, fast, play only during your turn. attached to a non-elite enemy at your location. Action. If attached enemy is at your location, parlay. Give it a command. Limit once per command. And the ones it comes with are go. This enemy moves once in a direction of your choice. Or cower. This enemy exhausts. Doesn't evade. It exhausts, and that is important.
Mm-hmm.
So level 0. It's not bad.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It locks down an enemy pretty much, as long as it's with you, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, what's nice is that the action's a parlay, so you're never going to have to worry about attacks of opportunity with this card.
Mm-hmm.
You can move an enemy off you and then move a direction in a location in the other direction, which buys you some time.
Mm-hmm.
If the enemy's a hunter. If it's not, then you're just good.
Yep.
If you just need a second, like there are those turns, especially in solo, where you were gonna do a thing,
mm-hmm.
and of course that's the turn the enemy shows up.
Yeah.
If you just need a second, throwing this on and cower for a single action at least leaves you with presumably 2 actions left to do whatever that thing was before you actually have to address the enemy. Yeah, level 0 is not bad.
This can go in a Lola deck, and if you get the detective, the stubborn detective, and you just keep it like it's the handcuff trick again.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
At the cost of an action per turn, but yes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I appreciate the craft of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, however, most of the power in this card lies in its customization, so let's look at what else this thing can do. So you can add the following commands. Betray. Deal 1 damage to any enemy at this enemy's location with an equal or lower fight value than this enemy, which of course includes the enemy itself. Which I find is actually probably the most common time I use Betray is, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Mercy. An investigator at this enemy's location heals damage or horror equal to this enemy's respective damage or horror value. Confess. Discover 1 clue at this enemy's location if its health is equal to or higher than the location's shroud. Distract. Automatically evade any enemy at this enemy's location with an equal or lower evade value than this enemy. All right, so then those are the commands you can add. So then you've got additional upgrades here. Greater Control costs 2. Power Word gains Squiggly Boy. Return Power Word to your hand, so you can just pull it off the enemy. 3 pips. Bonded. You may activate the Parlay ability on Power Word from up to 1 location away from the attached enemy. Tongue Twister. When you parlay with Power Word, you may give up to 2 different commands. And for 3, Thrice Spoken. You may include 3 copies of Power Word in your deck. When you give a command using 1 copy, give that command to each other enemy with 1 of your copies of Power Word attached.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so first of all, please don't taboo this card. Duke and or Nick, please and thank you.
I think this card is fantastic. I think it's strong, but...
And it's so mystic.
It should be. It's going to get... Like, when you get it up to 10 XP, it should be strong, and it should be domineering. I don't know.
And you have to put so many of your turn-by-turn actions into keeping this going. It's not like this is a set-it-and-forget-it, ruin-the-game situation. You still have to be thinking. There are definitely enemies where, like, you slap this on an enemy and you're like... like, that happens. Yeah. But, like, you're still pouring your actions into it. You still have to move it around. Like, there's shit that can fuck things up. Like, this is not a silver bullet. This is not ruining anything. Please don't taboo this card.
Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite abilities on this is Bonded, just so you can be adjacent to it or 1 location away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you get a little bit of extra range. And also, taking this in my Luke deck, and the gate box is connected to every revealed location, so if I'm in the gate box, I can control every single power-worded monster on the board that is at a revealed location, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, I suppose.
I'm just over here riding on my servitor, telling enemies to go do things.
Yeah, my servitors, my power words. Like, this is like puppeteer Luke.
Is Warlock Luke over here.
Yeah.
Can you guys help me understand Greater Control a little more? I conceptually get it, the enemy has run its course. You can then get this back and play it down again. But at the point that you've already spent the 3 resources on it and then you're going to be doing it again, does that mess with the curve overall too much? Or are you just getting it back because then you have it and could always commit it? Or I don't know. That one, just every time I go through here, that one makes the least sense to me.
I think it's going to depend on your build and like your intent. Like if this is a 10 XP card for you, Greater Control might be a thing you look at because, like I said, there are situations where you actually need to kill that enemy for some reason. Or if you're playing Pallid Mask and there's an encounter ability that discards the enemy, or like there are reasons why you might want to shift this. If you haven't gone Thrice Spoken for the 3 copies, you may not have another copy in your hand ready for like this juicier target that just came out. I think that Greater Control, to my experience, is possibly the weakest upgrade on this card, but I still can see some utility to it.
Okay. That helps. I mean, that's sort of where I landed in trying to figure it out, and it just seemed like it might be something that would be closer to or past my skill ceiling, whereas the rest of it all seems to fit nicely for me.
Gorfax says combining this with handcuffs on the Deep One Bull. Like, that's awesome.
Wow. I mean, the Deep One Bull is a really good target for this, especially,
Yes.
I know Gorfax also mentioned that a difficult one to use is the Confess, because the health has to be non-elite, and those ones are usually smaller health, but the Bull has 5, and for it to just like action discover 1 clue at a 5 or lower shroud location, like that's most locations in the entire game.
Did we just solve Innsmouth?
Boy, we're trying to crack it open.
We are
at
sure
least.
trying.
Trying to clip through the boundaries. We're doing any % runs right now.
Yeah.
There's in chat. There's a note about how Carolyn or Vincent can get an assistant with this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And can confirm on the Vincent side.
Yeah, and that's like they have some really cool deck building where just like randomly cards like this are available to them because they heal. Your Vincent Van Gogh deck, like it'd be very interesting to find Carolyn a little companion. Interesting. So as far as like upgrades with this one, I think Tongue Twister is a must. I think if you're putting any like serious XP into this, you must Tongue Twister, because generally, if you're doing any of the other things, you're going to have to move that enemy around to manipulate it.
Yeah.
So move plus whatever you're having it do, or move plus cower and setting it up for next turn. Like, Tongue Twister is huge in helping with the efficiency of actually trying to use this card on a consistent basis. That one's my number 1 upgrade.
Yeah, I feel like it's Tongue Twister and Bonded for me, so that you get 2 actions and it can be from 1 location away, and then you just pick whichever other ones you'd like. So like Mercy is really great. Like that amount of healing can be insane. So, and like 1 action, tell the monster to move to that next location and heal whoever's there. That's, yeah.
It's pretty good.
I do like, I mean, I like all 4 of the basic choices. They're all good in their different ways. So,
and it's an interesting little meta game because this is a way better card in some campaigns than others. And in particular, like my first thought there is like, this isn't the best in Innsmouth, for instance, because you're going to be continually engaging these enemies and blah, blah, blah. However, the way Scott's using it, with Luke in 4-player, like, yeah, that completely makes sense. So it's a really cool little meta game to kind of figure out like where this is actually useful.
Big Kahuna, yes, it still hits them in the enemy phase. Like the enemy still does its normal hunter things, and any encounter cards that make them move, like the Bull or Deep One Assault or whatever. Yeah, like that none of that changes.
Unless you've had the enemy cower, that's pretty much.
Yeah, if it's exhausted, unless the encounter card says like ready them, move them, whatever. So yeah, Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's move on from this one without too much ceremony. Scott.
Oh, that joke was sick. Well, ceremonial sickle.
No, yours was better.
Yours
was
a
better.
three cost mystic asset. The combat icon. Item, charm, weapon, and melee traded. Action, fight. Either use your willpower or get +1 combat for this attack. When you initiate this ability, choose one. Either exhaust ceremonial sickle and place a doom on it to get +1 skill value and deal +1 damage for this attack. Or, if this attack defeats an enemy, remove 1 doom from ceremonial sickle, and it takes a hand slot. I am not a huge fan. I think that the asking to put doom on it is really expensive for
+1 damage.
Yeah.
Because if the enemy that you need to dispatch is over 3 health, suddenly, and like even if it is 3 health or less, if you miss, you might be dragging doom into the next turn. But for sure, if you're over 3 health, you are dragging doom into the next turn, which some turns might make this straight up unusable. And like random or weapons that randomly fail you aren't weapons that I'm apt to rely on.
Yeah, especially when you look at like, I don't know, a 45, right? If you fail it, the bullet goes away and you can try again. This one, like the doom is there, and that can be, and I mean, obviously you're going to have this in a deck where you are playing some doom juggling and all these doom tricks, and I get that. I don't know, that's not me. Like I don't know if I'm too risk averse. This one feels really risky, and I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze, as we say.
So hear me out on theme, though. Theme,
yes.
so good, because you are only picking this blade up and only using it when you are able to actually make that sacrifice and get it all the way to completion. Because otherwise, sure, you can use it, but it's not as effective. So it's this brittle artifact that's ready to be used when it is time.
Yeah.
Now, it mechanically in the game, no, it is not then very consistent or a thing you maybe want to use all the time. But theme, oof.
Yeah.
Now, in its defense, it's got some interesting things going for it in the Mystic card pool. It is a hand slot damaging asset.
True.
Mystic does not have many of those. It gives you the option to use your willpower or to use your just regular combat and get a +1. So I think that's less relevant for Mystics and more relevant for non-Mystics who have access to this card. I can't say offhand exactly who I think would take this one. I mean, it's an interesting weapon at level 0.
I could see this doing well, actually, in a Dream Eaters campaign with Swarm.
Sure.
Because you're going to be killing a lot of small swarm enemies. And so that way I think you'd have so many targets you could reliably remove the doom. Yeah. My fear is just killing a 2 health enemy with the first ability and then not having another enemy around to remove a doom later. I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I don't think you look at this unless you're doing some other doom fuckery, right? Like,
Yes.
Are you even glancing at this if you've got nothing else to potentially help with that doom?
No, you got to be
No,
playing the doom deck. Yeah.
And, again, what's interesting is that for so many Mystics, when you're doing the leaning into willpower and doing everything with spells and abilities, most of the time your arcane slots are spoken for. You're just doing some version of Shriveling, Sixth Sense, Azure Flame, Rite of Seeking, whatever your particular mix is. You're doing something there, and your slots get spoken for really quickly. So a lot of those kind of cool arcane slot spells that do something other than fight or investigate really get marginalized. In the investigators, where it makes sense, to offload the fighting and damage to a hand slot is cool, because that opens up more room in your arcane slots.
Can we change up how we do this and maybe read the level 4 right now?
Yeah, that works. Might as well.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. Ceremonial Sickle. It's a 3-cost Mystic asset. It's level 4 now. It has 2 combat icons: item, charms, weapon, melee, traded, action, fight. Same thing. Either use your willpower or get +1 for combat for this attack. When you initiate this ability, choose one. Exhaust it and place 1 doom on it to get +3 skill value and deal 1 damage to this attack. Or, if this attack defeats an enemy, ready ceremonial sickle and remove all doom from it. This one I am much more cozy to.
Really? For 4 XP? All right, sell me on it.
4 XP is higher, but I think it if you are using your spell slots for other things and you don't want to like you have an agility spell in there, you have a clue finding spell, or you're rotating tons of clue finding spells through your spell slots, like maybe you have a sixth sense but you're rotating Rite of Seeking or something, and you just want something for killing and also just like you are not the main killer. This is so you can go off on your own and probably protect yourself. I think this is a lot better because it also removes all the doom.
Sure.
So you can
But you still only get, you have to exhaust it to get the doom and the damage bonus though. So
You do.
like your killing blow still has to land at 1 damage.
Yeah. But then it does ready the ceremonial sickle. So you could then do 2 to another enemy. I don't know. I'm just a lot more cozy on this. I'm not saying it's fantastic, but it is, I think, like a better card, as it should be because it's higher level. But I mean, I don't know. It's more appealing to me, for sure.
Like, ooh, man, I want more. For 4 XP. For 4 XP. I'm putting 4 of my whole experience. This could be a whole scenario I'm pouring into this card.
Yeah.
I want more out of the stat boost, regardless, whether you're putting the Doom on it or not. Like, the +3 when you're putting Doom on it is great. But, like, I want it, like, 1 more stat boost. You like, get +1 to willpower or +2 to attack.
Mm-hmm.
And just, again, you're just... the thing with weapons for me, and I guess what's stopping me on this one, is when a weapon funnels the amount of damage you can do with it,
Mm-hmm.
that drastically drops the value of the weapon for me. Because it's great to think about, yeah, all right, when we've got rats, or we've got a young deep one, or we got the piddly like 3 health or below enemies. Yes, I can think of all kinds of scenarios where this works pretty well. But as soon as we start pushing into like 4 and 5 health enemies, this weapon falls on its face so flat.
Sean,
Like,
I have a follow-up question to that. So you're talking about the situation based on what the scenario or the campaign is throwing at you. Does the player count change enthusiasm for this, or is it so tied to the type of enemies you'd run into that, like, having this to, like Scott mentioned, maybe you do a 1 ping to finish something off, do it, then 2 to help. But if there's more players, there's more going on there. Does that change it at all for you or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think with any card that's situational with 4 player, you're going to find an easier way to situation it based on what you need. But I'd have a hard time arguing that, like, it ultimately is not just everyone else making up for the inadequacy of you running this card. Like, you could, like, you do the thing where you're like, oh, okay, Zoe, leave 1 health on that enemy. I'll take care of it. And then you clear the doom, and then things are, it's ready, and you can do a thing again. So, yes, there is definitely more room for collaboration and coordination, and it gets better in 4 player.
And does it change your mind that you gain the tagline or the you get to yell out, "It's harvest time," every time you kill an enemy? I don't know why I'm trying to sell it, but I am now.
Witness me! Yeah. Like, it's an interesting card. I really think that unless you're doing other things with that doom, this just does not get looked at.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. I'm there too.
Well, since it doesn't get looked at, should we go searching for something else?
Possibly. One last thing is, like, I appreciate that Mystic is kind of maybe a tricky class to design for, but if we could get some non-spell things that are actually good instead of like just bad versions of other things, I'd appreciate it. That'd be great. Thank you.
Justin had a great joke, and you just poured water all over it, just dousing it.
Hey, at least we found it.
You saved it. We're good. We're good. Justin, go ahead.
All right, Dowsing Rod is an asset, takes up a hand slot, costs 4, has an intellect icon. Action, investigate. Either use your willpower or get +1 intellect for this investigation. When you initiate this ability, choose one. Either exhaust Dowsing Rod and place 1 doom on it to move to a connecting location, or if this investigation discovers the last clue at a location, remove 1 doom from Dowsing Rod.
How do I like this one so much better than Ceremonial Sickle?
Because it's way better. Because it's way better, Scott.
Okay.
I'm
just making sure because I feel like, yeah, wow.
Now, I think this one in particular is like way better in certain scenarios than in others, and I mean like situations, not scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
In solo, this is a great card.
Oh, this is This is a free action almost every turn card.
This is Purple Ursula, Persula.
Persula, yeah.
And even if
Urs,
you're not
sorry,
playing...
Urs, because anyways,
Urs,
right?
yeah. Even if you're not playing solo and you are playing multiplayer, you're playing a Flexi Mystic who occasionally wants to grab a clue.
Mm-hmm.
This is one more resource than Sixth Sense, and it doesn't take up one of your arcane slots.
Yep. And
And if you're playing one of the mystics that actually can use their intellect competently, or Norman, I'm going to count him as a mystic if no one stops me. Then yeah, I think this is a pretty solid card. And occasionally, when timing works, like during the Witching Hour, you can just get a free move action out of it with no consequence. But if you're able to time it otherwise, removing that doom from the free move is a lot easier than some other things, I guess. I don't know. I'm still bitter on Sickle, I guess.
I think, oh man, I think this goes back to, we've kind of discussed this before, where getting single clues feels way better than doing single damage to enemies. Because
1000%.
if you miss a clue, it's like, oh, shoot, I spent an action. You miss on an enemy, it's like, this enemy's going to hit you at the end of the round, right? Or after your turn. So it feels much more urgent to deal all that damage at once to get that enemy off the board before your turn ends. Whereas Dowsing Rod, it's like, oh, I have a spare action. I'm here. I have a clue. My Seeker is also here, but I'll make their job easier or whatever, right? And to have this like in solo, where you're going to be able to use these abilities bouncing back and forth so often, you're going to get the full use out of the card. Whereas the Sickle, I mean, I know we talked about Scarlet Keys in the voicemail, but I mean, for the most part, you're not going to have enemies all over the place in most scenarios, but you are going to have clues.
Well, the thing about Scarlet Keys is like the enemies have health for the most part, and that's the problem with the Sickle. It's like those health numbers kind of creep up slowly over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think this is really good. And again, everything I said about the Sickle and the Sickle and it taking up a hand slot and freeing up potentially an arcane slot that would have otherwise been an investigate spell. It's pretty solid. Downsides, not a spell, not a ritual. Can't be unquiesced the soul out. I think, good Namina.
Yeah.
Play this out for 1 on a location that's got 1 clue left. Grab that, and then you're clean.
Yep. Also, like the hand slot is not competitive in Mystic. Right?
Not terribly.
Like you have the cane, which I think a lot of people like.
Sword cane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I
That's
just
the
have
only
to
auto include.
I have to theme police this one. The fact that it doesn't take up 2 hand slots, and I know it doesn't deserve to. 100% doesn't.
Yeah.
The fact that it isn't 2 will always bug me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could take your other thing and stick it in your pocket while you're using this one. Like, you're really just walking around carrying it with one hand, maybe. But
yeah.
You're right, though. The picture.
That's the pass I will give it.
Yeah. The art.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on to the upgraded version. Justin, you want to read that one?
Sure do. Upgraded dowsing rod. Still an asset. Still takes up a hand slot. Still item and charm traded. Cost 4, but is now level 4. Has 2 intellect icons. Investigate. Either use your willpower or get +1 intellect for this investigation. When you initiate this ability, choose one. Exhaust dowsing rod and place 1 doom on it to move to a connecting location and get +2 skill value for this investigation. Or, if this investigation discovers the last clue at a location, ready dowsing rod and remove all doom from it.
You know what? I don't even know if I would upgrade it.
Yep, at 4 XP, I don't know that you're getting enough extra out of this.
Like the
That's
level
where I'm
1 is
at.
just satisfying enough that I don't think I need the XP.
Would the main use case be that remove all doom from it? If this was something you were dumping doom on and it was just really built around that? Because that's sort of where I'm seeing the main difference or reason I'd do anything with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, potentially. I think again that's better for lower player counts because like overall Doom is easier to control the fewer players you have. Thanks, Ancient Evils. But yeah, I mean, I suppose like in 2-player, you exhaust, put the Doom on it, move to a connecting location, grab the first clue, investigate again, grab the second clue, and then you're clear. I guess.
I was just gonna say 2-player is where I see this, where you upgrade this, because now you're also unexhausted, like you ready it.
Yes.
So that means you can do the ability again, and you just keep on, like grabbing 2 clues and moving for 2 actions. So you're putting 3 actions into 2, over and over and over and over and over again, as long as all the clues are in a line like a Pac-Man stage. Yep. I could see 2-player upgrading it. I don't think anything else though.
Look, I mean, we said this about Sixth Sense, and I think ultimately Sixth Sense is a little bit better than this, but like the ability to just straight up action, investigate with willpower in Mystic, that's valuable.
Yeah.
And then everything else is just situational.
Yeah. Well, it's like Thieves' Kit in Rogue, right? Oh, I can investigate with my agility? Sweet. Put it in my deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a real black and white issue. You know, black, like the Onyx Pentacle. Oh, it's me. It's my turn. So the Onyx Pentacle is Mystic. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the level 4 version. Let's maybe look at the level 0 one.
You also missed Hallowed Chalice.
That's where we're going. Yep, sorry,
Yeah.
Hallowed Chalice.
I got
we'll get
worried
to
about
that.
where that joke was going.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do segues. I keep fucking them up tonight. Hallowed Chalice is a level 0 mystic asset. It has item and charm traits. It costs 3. It has a willpower icon. Action. Choose an investigator at your location and either, choose one, exhaust the chalice, place 1 doom on it to heal 2 damage or 2 horror from that investigator. Or heal 1 damage or 1 horror from that investigator. And if you've healed the last damage or horror, you may remove 1 doom from Hallowed Chalice. I quite like this card, actually. As we were just talking about, the hand slot is not... Oh, it takes up a hand slot, if I didn't mention it. The hand slot is not terribly contentious in Mystic. If you're in the Witching Hour and placing Doom on a thing doesn't matter, this is a free heal 2, right?
Yep.
And if instead you can get to a place where someone's got 3 damage or 3 horror, and you want to heal it off, that is 2 actions, and you've cleared the Doom and you're clean. So it's a little bit specific in its use, but I think for what it's doing, it is a pretty decent card. At least in Mystic. Mystic doesn't have a ton of good, efficient options for healing. Especially like cards that heal both damage or horror in the same card, you know?
And can essentially do it unlimited.
Yeah, no uses.
So I'll throw out there, I think there are exactly 4 investigators where I'm interested in this.
Okay.
Vinny. Or Vincent.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
Carolyn.
Okay.
What's his name? The bouncy guy. Dexter. Because he
Sure.
can, like, heal for 2, you track that doom over just 1 turn. Heal another 2, and then you bounce it to your hand or something.
Sure.
And Agnes.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can just keep her at full, hopefully around full, we call it sanity, and just chip away. Like, if you have to heal 2, you do it. Next turn, you heal 1, and you've healed, like, 3 pings worth of damage with 2 actions, and you remove that doom. So.
I also like it in Marie, because riding that doom as long as you can gives you the extra action, and then potentially, and it, like, all of this one's really weird because it really depends on how well you can control the damage and horror that are coming in, because you really need to be able to control the timing of removing that doom. If you're doing this in anything but the witching hour, which, again, depending on the scenario, every time you hit a witching hour, free heal. Straight up free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do
don't
always
know.
look at a healing card, I'm like, but would Soak have been better?
We need to do an entire episode on soak versus heal.
Yeah, but I think in those healing investigators, or when you're healing from the body of an investigator, like an Agnes, I think that's where that conversation lies. But yeah,
And there's a place in. I mean, we've been talking about, like, who splashes healing in Innsmouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you don't have a specific use for it, there's just weird scenarios where someone will get hammered by that one treachery that deals 2 horror, and they'll fail it a couple times and suddenly be in trouble.
Yep.
And at that point, you hope that the person who's running the mirror for such a situation has it, or similarly, someone who's running a chalice or something like that has it, where, like, you can just, like, pop it in and 2 actions heal 3 off and be feeling a little bit better about it, hopefully.
Yeah. You know who is packing healing in Innsmouth? All of the enemies, once I power word them.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I think I convinced Ian to pack the mirror, and then I've got the talismans of protection in my Silas deck for
Yeah,
anyone who's
we'll be
getting
good.
dicey. Yeah, I think we got it.
We will never get defeated by damage or horror. Never.
Well, now you jinxed it.
Yeah. Sure did.
But this one's interesting because we always talk about how healing can be slow, particularly the cards that you have to spend a hard action to heal. But hard action, charge list, heal 2 of your choice, that's pretty okay as long as you can play around it.
Yeah. And like you said in the witching hour, it is like a heal 2, no downside.
Yeah.
In the non-witching hour, if you're playing it carefully, it's basically 2 actions heal 3. So it's like healing 1.5 is how I see it in my head.
Sure.
But
Yeah. You know what also is black? Like a pentacle.
A black pentacle?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, maybe an onyx one? Like a mystic asset that's an onyx pentacle that's 3 cost, level 0. It has an agility icon. It has item and charm traded. That one, Sean? Okay, cool. And it has action evade. Either use your willpower or get +1 agility for this evasion attempt. When you initiate this ability, choose 1. Exhaust Onyx Pentacle and place 1 doom on it to target any enemy at your location or a connecting location, and get +1 skill value for this evasion attempt. Or, if you succeed by 2 or more, remove 1 doom from Onyx Pentacle. It takes up the hand slot. Okay. Maybe in that Agnes deck we talked about where you put Living Ink and she's an agility master all of a sudden?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't hate this in Safina at all.
Yeah.
Um,
And any or connecting location, like that is just, and get +1 skill value. Like you're evading at 6 for someone next to you, or even just an enemy that's hunting, and you don't have to go to it and exhaust it.
yeah, or just an enemy. This is kind of like Mystic Barrier a little bit. Obviously, it doesn't keep out multiple enemies, but you could definitely just, if you need another turn at this location and that hunter's trying to swing in on you, you can evade it at the location it's at, and that includes elite enemies.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow.
So, okay. So in Dunwich,
Sitting
in
outside
Blood on the Altar.
Yes, sitting
Yep.
outside the room. Yes.
Yep, you can just sit there and tank Silas,
Yeah.
assuming you can hit like a 7 evade test.
I love that we both came to that at the same time. But I mean,
I came to it.
Oh yeah. Yep, this is like so niche, I think.
Uh-huh.
And it is going to be, oh man, TFA with all the vengeance enemies.
Yeah,
So you can be one away. Yeah.
You mean, yeah.
This is super niche, which is fine. Like I'm totally okay with niche cards, and it's like to me it feels like it is a 9 or it is a 1, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yes, let the niche and the jank flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have to say, evaluating the evade kit available to Mystics is one of the wackiest things for me, because they all take such a different spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's kind of like the way defensive one, where you're literally just staving it off for a turn. I guess you've got the cooperative element of being able to evade for someone else, which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Again, takes up a hand slot, so not terribly contentious if you're just fitting this in. You get to use willpower, or if you're using it in someone who has good agility, you can lean that way instead. It's flexible. I think this one's like butting right up under the rod for me in kind of just general usability. I do agree with you that it's particularly situational.
Yeah. And Salty Elderberry in chat brings up a thing about Dirty Fighting Dexter with Pentacle does some work.
I like that.
He'd be evading at a 6 using his willpower, and then he also has all that rogue access for all that, like, you evaded an enemy, do this to an evaded enemy. Like, all that rogue bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, it's all that stuff. Yeah, I could, now I kind of want to make that deck. I have so many decks I want to make, but...
We're just at that place in the card pool.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I think I'd look at this over Ineffable Truth. I have a soft spot in my heart for Mists of Relia, though.
I've never been huge on Mists, so maybe I just like this one better. But
evade plus move is just...
I think I prefer this... Yeah, I don't know. I might prefer this over Ineffable Truth. Just
Agreed.
because it doesn't take up the arcane slot. Even if you're only using, like, you're basically just using this with the second ability to never put Doom on it. You're just using it as an evade trick, right? Yeah.
Yeah, a hand slot evade tool.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got a place in some decks.
Now I want to run a Dexter campaign through TFA.
I feel like Dexter was the secret hidden winner of the, we're not through the purple cards yet, but especially with the Doom set of stuff that he can pop in and pop out as needed.
Yeah.
Dexter did very well out of TSK.
Yeah.
Scott, we really need you to just start keeping a list of the decks you want to build and the situations you want to run.
Goodness.
I'm just saying, write it down.
I need a Google Doc.
That can be the Ravenquill report.
What deck did I build this week?
It'll be a sub segment of the Ravenquill report.
Yeah.
Before the Ravenquill report eventually subsumes us all.
Ravenquill report, chapter 3, paragraph 6, subsection 2A. Dexter in TFA. Yeah.
Before we move on too far, we should read the upgraded version
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, right. That was me. Onyx Pentacle Mysticast, that's still... it is now level 4, still 3 cost. It has 2 agility icons now. Action, evade. Either use your willpower or get +1 agility for this evasion attempt. When you initiate this ability, choose 1. Exhaust Onyx Pentacle and place 1 Doom on it to get a target any enemy at your location or connecting location. Get +3 skill to this evasion attempt. Or, if you succeed by 2 or more, ready Onyx Pentacle and remove all Doom from it. Is it worth the +3?
Well, and again, it's got the thing where it readies on the
Yeah.
second ability, which that's the common thread for all of them. But like,
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time conjuring where that matters for this one.
Yeah, I feel like level 0 just does what it needs to do. Especially if you've got a 5 willpower mystic and you have if you have a 5 willpower mystic, you're probably packing a willpower boost or two, right? Like to get up to 6 or 7 because you're doing all your eggs in your willpower basket.
Ideally.
So you probably have willpower icons falling out of your hand. So, yeah, I mean, this is great. It seems like a late game. Oh, I have some extra XP. I'll upgrade it. But
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, I don't know though. If you are in a campaign like TFA, maybe that's
Sure.
when you do this, right? So you're like, you're hitting those evasion temps.
Sure.
But
If the location is revealed and we're playing TSK, you could hit a concealed card at an adjacent location, right?
I would assume so. Because they're
Yeah,
considered
okay.
enemies, right?
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Especially if it's a low shroud location, you can just like get that succeed by 2 or more off.
Yeah.
I personally think that all of the upgraded Doom hand slot items are overcosted in the XP arena, but I do still have to play with them a little bit more before I hold to
Yeah.
that very strongly.
I kind of like, sometimes I think about costs, whether resource costs or XP costs or whatnot. I think I've talked about this before, where when I'm looking at the cost, I also imagine that the card could be like this is 4 XP, it could be 3 XP, or it could be 3.5 XP. And where does it feel there? And
Yeah.
it feels like 4 is a bit too expensive.
Yep.
3.5 or so 3 feels like, well, that's a pretty good deal. And so the actual balance point feels like 3.5. And so
You think 3 is a good deal, huh?
I think 3 is acceptable, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, well, yeah.
I mean, that's just me.
Yeah. I guess this is a bad example for this thing.
Those groans were a solid argument. Solid argument.
I would feel okay about these at 2 because like they do give you an upgrade, but like the upgrade is so situationally good for each one of these. Like, yeah, sure, you're going to summon the situation occasionally, and in certain campaigns that situation will present itself more readily. But
I think 2 is a steal of a deal.
yeah,
So, like, to me, like, 3 is a fair price.
sure. Well, you got to pay 4, so
Yeah. Well,
fun to think about.
I don't have to pay it if I'm not going to upgrade it, so there you go.
That's right. All right. Then let's move on to Eldritch Initiation, Justin.
Yeah, it is an event now. Ritual traded. Cost 1. Has a willpower and intellect icon. For each arcane slot you have, draw 1 card, max of 5. For each filled arcane slot you have, choose and discard 1 card from your hand.
This is a weird card.
Yeah. You know how Mystic wanted draw? Maybe not quite so specifically.
We've got draw at home.
I mean, it is decent filtering. So you're getting 2 out of this without trying. You're getting to filter 2 cards without trying.
For the cost of a card, though.
Yeah, and a resource.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's not particularly good. So you have to try to make this card good, by my estimation.
Mm-hmm.
I have played this in a Binder's Jar Explosive Ward, or like the other 2 cards that kind of work with this whole like empty slots, more arcane slots than empty arcane slots, right? It takes some setup.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think that there are probably just better draw options, more consistent draw options that will get the combo going, right?
Yeah.
To have your draw options count on your combo already being set up can feel bad sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But once you do get the combo set up, it's okay. To be able to just like straight draw 3 or 4 and not have to discard any feels pretty good. I really wish this card had fast a little bit. I don't think it would break anything. Maybe it would be a like level 1 or 2 card at that point.
I'm trying to think. So which person did you take this combo in?
My original version was my Amina deck, but I ended up porting that to a Diana deck. I'll let you conjecture as to which one worked better.
Diana.
But again,
probably.
Binders.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah.
Binders Jar was kind of the main one, and that was nice because I was able to like get that straight away with in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So at least like from the get go, you've got all the pieces. It's just a matter of pulling them together. But yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to think of a investigator that has access to low level mystic, like Binder's Jar, that doesn't care about their spell slots.
yeah, this could be good in a Zoe deck.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, you can't do Binders Jar in Zoe.
No,
though.
no, you can't. No. No.
Maybe Sister Mary. She
Maybe.
likes her arcane slots in some builds. She's got some flexibility there.
Yeah. Carolyn? Question mark?
That's interesting. Maybe,
Kill-
yeah.
Killer Carolyn somehow?
Well, they just have to die at your location with Binder's Jar, so like,
Yeah.
you could coordinate.
Okay.
Be a little bit harder, but
Yeah, I'm iffy on this card. Binder's
Yeah.
Jar. I know we're going to talk about it later, so I'm going to save my question for that.
Uh-huh.
But Binder's Jar is very interesting, and it just got me thinking of things. So
agree.
we need to hurry up and get to Binder's Jar.
Well, it's a really interesting space for Mystics to care about. Is like,
Yeah.
oh, both having extra arcane slots and potentially not having anything in those arcane slots.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a really weird direction for Mystic to go, and I kind of love that we're getting a little bit of push into that direction.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for the rest of the conversation. I don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah.
I think most Mystics like really, really just want to use their arcane slots. But there's some cool stuff. And this kind of just
Yeah.
riffs off of it without doing much itself.
You do sign magic also to add some.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's not quite the bomb of a card that we were hoping, was it?
No.
This next card, however,
Yeah. Oof.
Explosive Ward, is a level 0 Mystic event. It is X-costed. It is spell traded. It has 2 combat icons. Before you play Explosive Ward, you may discard any number of cards from your arcane slots. Deal X damage to a non-elite enemy engaged with you. X cannot be greater than the number of empty arcane slots that you have. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. I don't understand why they didn't just make it a fight, but yeah, I guess that's me.
Because when it says fight, I think you have to draw a token. There has to be a test to it.
Got it.
Or this is just like an auto succeed fight.
Got it.
Yeah.
There really should have been a keyword to just negate attacks of opportunity, because that effect gets used so often.
Yeah.
that I'm sure the developers are like, oh, I've got to put that on the card, and it takes up space.
Fast, but different.
Fast, but in action still.
Yeah. Action fast.
Anyway, okay, so this card is interesting.
Yeah, I do like the fact it's just like, oh, what is this? 3 health? 2 health? I just kill it. Like it's there's no test involved with it. Kind of nice. And I mean, you can use it on a very small enemy, like whippoorwills or acolytes or something annoying.
If you're looking to get bigger damage out of it, like you've got to be doing the thing where you've got more than your 2 regular arcane slots, but then also you can't care very much that you have things in those arcane slots. Or I guess at somewhere in the middle is you do, but they are limited time expendable type arcane slot things that you will discard when you need to play this card.
Yeah.
And the cost of the card goes up. That's the other thing, is like cost X to deal X damage.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a bad thing, but it will be prohibitive sometimes. If this were just like a straight up 2-cost card, it would be a completely different story.
And also, I kind of wonder, like, if you're Mystic and you're caring about spell slots and all this stuff, or arcane slots, is it just better to just fill just one of your arcane slots with, a killing spell?
Quite possibly.
I don't know.
I mean, probably more efficient and consistent. My experience in running this is like I just always wished it were Spectral Razor.
Yeah.
And I know Spectral Razor's really good, so maybe it's not fair to compare things to it, but it's like this is trying to do basically the same thing. And it's so much more limiting on both how you have to build and how you have to play. Like the enemy has to already be engaged with you, whereas Spectral Razor like literally will peel the enemy off of someone else if you want. I don't know. I kind of want this to be more impactful for what it's doing. More impactful or cheaper.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really hope, I really, really, really hope, because it's an interesting direction for Mystics to go, that we get more expansion of what these two cards, Eldritch Initiation and Explosive Ward, are like trying to get you to do. We just need we need more cards to make it actually viable, I think.
Yeah.
So question with this one compared to Spectral Razor, Sean, I think that's a good point, is that really the only thing this one has on Spectral Razor is maybe the flexibility of, I mean, let's say I want to just spend the one to ping a damage, and that's all I'm doing, and not saying it's efficient, and then that's all I have to do. Whereas Spectral Razor, I've had, there's times where, okay, I have to do this, but it feels like a waste.
Yeah, possibly. Like this could be a silver bullet for, like Scott said, for like a whippoorwill.
Sure.
Or in cultist scenarios to get like that acolyte or the small 1 health cultist out and just like straight up pay 1, done. Don't have to worry about it.
No, that makes sense. That's tying together then that use case with the Spectral Razor comparison. Okay. Yep.
It does have to be engaged with you, though, with this one.
Oh God, you're right.
Whereas
Never mind, hate it.
Spectral
That kills
Razor
it for me.
engages for you. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm not saying it's better or there's like it makes it great, but it's it seems like we're thirsty for more cards in this play type.
Yeah, like again, this is a cool area for Mystics to push into. Like it seems a little counterintuitive to like everything Mystic has up to this point.
Yeah.
So like you gotta feed us a little bit more to make this worth it. So
And
hopefully
also
we'll get
not
that someday.
And also don't taboo power word.
Yes. Yes, please let us keep the good cards that we do have.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Wouldn't you just like curse up a storm if they tabooed string of power word?
Yeah, I sure would. It would be a string.
Okay. String of curses is a mystic event, which would happen to Sean. It costs 1. It's level 0. Test icons are combat and agility, and is spell traded. Parlay. Choose a non-elite enemy at your location, and either choose one. Automatically evade that enemy and place 1 doom on it. It cannot take damage for the remainder of the round. Discover 1 clue at your location. Or, if that enemy has 1 or more doom on it, defeat it. Gain 1 resource for each doom that was on it.
Do you know how I was just talking about like a cool spell event that's just a silver bullet for cultists? Yeah, it's actually this card. This is the one.
Oh, okay. Specifically Brotherhood cultists, perhaps.
Oh my God. Just crank them up to like 5 doom and then just nuke them. I love it so much.
Oddly enough, this is gonna sound crazy. I kind of like this for solo.
Oh yeah.
For a weird reason, where in solo, like an enemy can ruin your day, especially if you're running like, I don't know, Daisy, or you don't have your enemy management up or whatever. And it's gonna take you a round at least to deal with this enemy. I would much rather draw something like Ancient Evils than an enemy.
Right.
This essentially turns that into an enemy into Ancient Evils as long as you keep moving, right? You evade it, you put a doom on it, you basically replace the enemy with a doom, and it'll clear off on the next time the agenda goes over. Plus, you discover a clue at your location, which in solo, you've just cleared the location, and now you can leave.
Yeah.
For one
it's
cost.
great. I love this card. This card is... It's kind of like a sweet sister to Drawn to the Flame a little bit.
Like, I'm just thinking solo, and I'm like, oh, I just drew a Night Gaunt, and I am Daisy, and I don't have a way to deal with it. This is an absolute godsend. Because I will take Ancient Evils over a Night Gaunt any day of the week. And if this is happening during the Witching Hour, it's not even Ancient Evils.
Yup. Okay,
If
so,
you're in
Scott.
Oh, go ahead, John.
No. You ask your question first. I'm going off on a tangent.
Okay, no, I was going to take it the opposite direction of the solo. So you're in multiplayer with this one. Can you use this to peel off someone else's enemy and just be like automatically, okay, that one's going to leave you alone. Thanks.
Yes.
Absolutely, you can.
Dear God.
Yeah.
It's good.
Because it evades it, it doesn't exhaust it. Like, evading means you exhaust it and it disengages. So yeah, this is a peel-off spell.
Peel-off spell with a bonus clue. Just have a clue while you're at it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, okay, all right, so here's my favorite thing. I have a couple versions of this deck. I'm not 100% sure who it's best in. Right now, my theory is that it is best in Luke. But it is String of Curses, Robes of Endless Night, and Diana Esperance.
Okay.
So basically, you put String of Curses on Diana, which basically means you can play it 3 times without having to discard it. So you can play it repeatedly. Even more times with all of the Seeker bullshit that Luke can do by putting more secrets on Diana, which is why I think he's the best vehicle for it. But ultimately what that means is that if an enemy pops out on you, you can, one turn, if you've got this set up, do the first ability. Evade the enemy, put a doom on it, get a clue. And then next turn, it's got a doom on it. You can play this again. Just straight up defeat the enemy, and then you're done with that enemy. Like, being able to chain this on its own, like basically the first ability can be a setup for the second ability if you have a way to play it multiple times.
And not to mention that you can play an event as if you're at a connecting location.
Exactly.
And if you're in the party box.
Yeah, it's best in Luke. It's best in Luke by a mile.
That's very interesting.
Oh, okay. McDoug brings up De Vermis Mysteries as a way to play it twice in a round. That's good. And that also plays into like Doom shit, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on that because no one plays De Vermis. So I'm just kidding. I was actually looking at De Vermis for my Iron Man deck, and I was like, could I do this? And then I was like, no, it's too much work. In Iron Man. String of Curses is a lot better when you think about it for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the first time you read this, you're like, okay. And then you're like, oh, wait. And then, like, it starts to puzzle together. It's
good in anything that's got cultists or things that accrue doom. If you've got more than one person at the table playing this card, this can be an alley-oop.
Yes.
Just like straight up, one person gets the clue and puts the doom, the other person ices the enemy.
Look at you with that sports ball.
I did play basketball for one whole year. Back when I was tall. It was 5th grade.
You'll always be tall in our hearts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fairly positive on this card. No attacks of opportunity. It's a parlay action. No tests. Like, just generally a really good card.
Yeah.
That then always makes me nervous. What's the downside with the card? Like, what am I missing here?
You definitely are leaving a doom on an enemy if you don't have a follow-up plan to kill it, which is a thing you get to consider. But like Scott said, a lot of times it would have taken you a full last turn to kill that enemy anyway. So just being able to evade it and get the hell out with a clue to boot, like, that's really good.
The clue is the gravy. Like, I can't believe that that's on there. Yeah.
It seems like
a great solo card.
It seems like an extra bonus on this card that was meant to be on one of the other cards we were not very high on, and they just pasted it here instead.
Yeah.
And like on top of that, if you're doing any of the other Doom play, whereby there's not a whole lot of it, but any of the other Doom play whereby you can put a Doom on an enemy through another effect, then running this card and then just auto defeating that enemy is pretty solid.
Yeah.
There's not much, but it does exist.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just Amina's Elder Sign?
I feel like yes.
Okay, well, all right, great Amina card.
Yeah, yeah.
Who was the first investigator I played this in?
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
All right, Scott, we're there.
Oh, thank goodness. Justin, you're up.
I mean, Scott, I'm going to give you this one.
Okay, sure.
We'll switch.
So Binder's Jar is a mystic asset, cost 2, level 1, has a willpower icon. It is item and relic traded. You get +1 arcane slot for each enemy beneath Binder's Jar. Reaction: after a non-elite enemy is defeated at your location, place that enemy face down beneath Binder's Jar. Limit 2 enemies beneath it. Reaction: when an enemy attacks you, discard an enemy beneath Binder's Jar that shares a trait with the attacking enemy. Cancel that attack. Takes up the accessory slot. My question is if an enemy has a victory point on it, does it go underneath the Binder's Jar?
I mean, it's a reaction, so it's optional. So
Yeah.
I think if you want it to, it can.
Okay. So if it has a vengeance, it wouldn't go to the victory display or vengeance display. It would go under here,
that's
right?
good.
And then you can discard it to cancel an attack, and it would just go back in the discard pile, right?
Oh, yeah. Keep going. I'm
Okay,
almost
so
there.
Dexter in TFA.
Yes, there's more.
Yeah, so well, that's it. There. Okay.
Okay, all right, yep.
Yeah. So yeah,
awesome.
that's yeah. Oh my goodness! And then if you're Dexter, you bounce this into your hand, and those things, if you don't need to discard them for whatever, you can just bounce this back, and they get discarded anyways, I assume. But they don't hit the victory display.
Right. Man, I mean, I think so. Maybe
Yeah.
we're waiting for an actual ruling on that, but that's how it reads to me.
And absolutely forget the +1 arcane slot. I don't care about that. Like, I am ignoring that part of the card. This is just, can I deal with a vengeance enemy this way? And also, yeah, like Big Kahuna says, like, it helps drain the enemies out of the encounter deck. So you grab 2 of those snakes that have vengeance 1, and you just keep them under there the entire game after you've killed them once.
Fucking pit vipers.
Oh, God. Yeah, exactly. Like, there. That is good enough for me. So...
I mean, I feel like you need to submit that, get the clarification ahead of the next Arkham Knights, because if that happens, then we do, I think, the next unofficial Iron Man.
No, it's Return to Carcosa.
Oh, it is Carcosa. Okay, you've got time then. You've got
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I got a year and a half.
You return to Iron Man. Will be Carcosa next. Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting card. I agree with you, Scott, that the arcane slots are cool. Like, that's a cool kicker that you can get to work if that's a thing you care about.
Yeah, that's an archetype. Go for that.
Uh-huh.
I'm just curious about
it's-
Dexter at TFA. That's it.
It's trying to be an archetype. I don't know if I agree that it's there yet, but
Yeah.
First of all, just getting an enemy out of circulation, barring everything else, some of the nasty enemies, Conglomeration of Spheres comes to mind.
Yep.
Just getting an enemy out of circulation of the encounter deck, at least like ahead of a reshuffle,
Yeah.
is really good. And then like maybe you use the cancel ability after the encounter deck is reshuffled and you're fairly confident that you're just not going to see that enemy again.
Cats of Saturn. Right? Like just
Ooh, yeah.
which is essentially trapping like 8 enemies. Let's all be honest here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And so often in campaigns, many of the enemies share traits. Like there's only so many traits on enemies. Like you've got humanoids and you've got monsters.
Yep.
And then everything else is just flavor. So yeah, I think this is a pretty solid little card. 2 cost, accessory slot, 1 XP.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are places where it's more impactful than others, but where do you think that I do think that if you care about the extra arcane slots, this is one of the best ways to get it.
Yes.
There are many ways you can get extra arcane slots at this point. But this one seems, pound for pound, a good way, an efficient way to get 2 arcane slots. So, in as much as we care about that going forward, that's fun.
I like it for everything but the arcane slot stuff. I don't know. I'm just stuck on the trapping enemies that are just a pain in the butt.
Yeah, you
And
don't really care.
Did you
like,
find
extra-
a niche and janky way to deal with it, Scott, and you didn't love?
Yes,
Yeah, that tracks.
just hyperfixating.
just smitten with jank?
It's really possessed me.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
But in a ghastly way. Speaking of which, ghastly possession. It is a skill, innate and spell traded. Level 1. Test icons wild after you commit ghastly possession to a skill test on an asset. Choose one. Place 1 doom on that asset. Ghastly possession gains 2 wild icons. If this test is successful, either remove 1 doom from this asset or replenish half of its uses, rounded down.
The rounded down makes me upset. But
So this is basically we've gone through all the different assets where it's doing the back and forth between you get a thing, but it costs doom, but then you can remove it. This is just the skill card equivalent of that, right?
yeah. But I guess you can use this on assets that don't have doom, like a doom power associated with them, like I don't know.
Sure.
Oh my goodness, what, a fingerprint kit or something? I don't know. But
Yeah, like the place 1 doom on the asset, get some extra icons. Yeah, that's fun. Cool, whatever.
Yeah.
What I'm looking at this card for is the ability that it will replenish half of its uses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does replenish have kind of a weighted meaning to it,
It cannot
as
go.
opposed to?
It cannot go over
Yep. Okay.
the full. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yep. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I've run recharge before, and to be able to do recharge thing at 1 XP for a wild icon on a test that I'm already doing,
Yeah.
that seems pretty good. Like, that's not a big ask, and it's a wild icon, so it can literally be anything.
I guess the only thing is
And it's-
the rounded down part. So if I want to do it on
Yeah.
like the gate box, I'm only getting 1 charge back.
Sure.
But maybe that's all you need, I guess.
Yeah, but if you're looking at anything that has 4 or more charges, then suddenly that's getting
Yeah.
getting better.
Mm-hmm.
It's actionless. It's helping you pass a test you're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you are doing doom play, obviously this will give you a boost to a test that you really need to hit, or the ability to pull doom off of it beyond that thing's own ability to pull doom off of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what Big Kahuna reminds me? It doesn't work on Gatebox because Gatebox doesn't have a test. It has to be a test on it. So yeah, that kind of, I won't say constrains
I
it a
just
bit
got
more.
Luke on the brain right now. I understand.
Yeah. You know what though? Multiplayer Daisy, you got your fingerprint kit out. This allows you to put 2 more.
Fingerprint
things
kit
on-
has 3 supplies.
Oh goodness, I thought it had 4. Oh, the leveled up one has 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty okay. And I do really like that this is uses. Like it
Yes.
works on literally any asset that has uses. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's charges, doesn't matter if it's secrets, doesn't
any-
matter if it's ammo.
Does any of Daryl's evidence stuff? I guess Daryl can't take it.
Use evidence. Does
What's that?
anything use evidence?
Oh man.
Are evidence uses in any capacity? Surely someone knows.
Maybe? I'm not sure. I don't know if there's one that has a spend evidence to test either. Isn't there a rogue card, a rogue asset that whatever.
Is damning testimony is secrets, I think. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah.
I think it's secrets. I might
It's
be wrong.
evidence.
It is evidence. Damn.
Yes.
All right, I played a whole campaign.
We
with it.
got there.
Woo!
Yeah. But it's
And what
only
is the default uses? 3?
3, yeah.
Yeah, of course. You can get it to 5, but
Just
that
a
costs
bit
XP
more
too.
damning evidence. Just a scooch. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, so this is doing a similar thing to Enraptured then. Like Enraptured is a skill that I have included in a fair few decks just to for a little one-off extra charge. Even if you
Yeah.
only get 1 out of it, that's not bad.
It's weird
Obviously-
because it's like Enraptured, except it's 1 more XP, but it has a wild icon, but it has to be a test on an asset. But it could be
Yes.
more than 1 charge, and it's not limited to just charges. Like it
Yes.
in Enraptured, just it's a very weird, like
Like it's the closest comparison, but it's not it's apples and oranges a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I've yet to include this, but I've eyed it a few times.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did you look in the mirror?
Sometimes it stares back. All right, so we're to me, right? Astral Mirror is a level 2 Mystic asset. It is 3 cost. It is ritual traded. It takes up the body slot. It has a combat icon. Here we go. Here's I think the capstone card for this whole like thing that we're trying to build. For each of your arcane slots that are empty, you have 1 additional hand slot. You may take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to play an asset into one of your hand slots. Surely this must be the work of an enemy stand.
Brian, oh goodness, what's his name? Rite of Seeking Brian. Anyways, Brian, he had something, I forget where he posted, I think it was on one of the Facebook groups or something, where he was using this in Lily and Dragon Pole.
Whoops.
And something crazy.
Whoops.
Like to use...
Lily can't
what?
take this.
Oh, was it? Oh, no, and I think he used, what do you call it? What's the one where you can pay 3 XP to take a level 0 card?
This is level 2, though.
Maybe it wasn't Lily. God, it was something else.
Sister
Anyways,
Mary, maybe?
Maybe Sister Mary, maybe Daisy?
Okay.
Anyways, the point is, he had, like, as many things that gave you hand slots and as many things that gave you arcane slots, and it was just, like... hand slots giving you arcane slots, which you're putting things in to give you more hand slots. It was ridiculous.
Oh, so it's using the level 3 Mystic Tarot too?
Something like that, yeah. And it was bonkers. And there was a neat little combo, but it seemed like so much work. But it was more a proof of concept than, or a concept, I guess. But
sure. Like you mentioned Lily. Honestly, like Lily is done so dirty by the fact that she can't take this, because this is so good for her.
Yeah. I
have played this. I think possibly the best thing it gives you is that extra action to play a hand slot card. Because if you're taking this, you're including a lot of those in your deck. So just being able to get them out more efficiently is pretty solid.
What do you think about this in like Tome Daisy? Is this essentially like her tote bag, but
better version of a tote bag, basically?
Like copies 2 and 3 of tote bag? And I mean, it gives you an extra action, which is... Yeah.
Extra action to play, extra action to use. You can really load up on books.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be curious what the loadout ultimately looks like, but yeah, no, I totally think this could potentially be a good Daisy card. Be like that scene in Doctor Strange where he's studying like 3 different books at once.
Yeah.
Then also combining this with Binder's Jar, you could potentially get, for relatively little work, like 6 hand slots.
Oh yeah.
So you know, things you might, and I think it's an interesting build because like suddenly some of those more marginal hand slots that are kind of fine, but you never really look at because you need your hand slots for the killing and the cluing. Suddenly they become a little bit better. Like, I don't know. I put a couple of copies of Candles in my Astral Mirror deck. And, you know, 1 cost, no action to play it. Like, you get the action to play it, and suddenly all of the bad stuff tokens are 2 up. Is pretty good. So things like that, I think, are pretty solid.
I'm hyper fixating on this Daisy thing now because Gorfax brought up Parallel Daisy and cranking that willpower up.
Ooh, yeah. And
but then, what are you going to use the willpower on? Because I guess they're...
Not getting hurt by the encounter deck?
Yeah. I guess events too, right? Because you want to keep your arcane slots open. But maybe you put in one spell.
Honestly,
maybe.
of all of the cards that are pushing us in this direction, this is the one that makes me the most excited. This is the one that makes it come together the best. Because this one actually gives you something actionable to do with it.
Yeah.
And that's having a lot of... I think Dexter is another good candidate for this. Maybe not the maximum use because he kind of filters in and out anyway, but just the fact that you get the free action to play a thing down, and then later on you can bump the thing out and fast play something else down that you didn't have to pay the action for to begin with. Like, it just makes him even faster in cycling through his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where I fell down though is like figuring out what that loadout actually looks like, and I think that's ultimately the tough part of this. Is like, okay, cool, you got all these extra hand slots. What are you actually doing with them?
Well, you're holding them up in the what am I going to do with these hands?
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a cool card.
Yeah,
it's a cool card.
You have your main two-handed weapon, and then you have 3 offhand weapons. Right?
Your off hand weapon.
Yeah. The off hand.
We'll bring back like the Spirit Athame or something like that.
Yeah.
Shit we haven't seen forever. Although, I have to say, I say that jokingly, but in the Diana deck where I ran this, because Diana can actually be good at using her hands, like having that extra hand slot to have like weapons and candles, and then just throw her signature dagger down and like never have to worry about the hand slots. It's pretty good. It feels good. It's fun. I like it.
So Xylo brings up a deck that's on Arkham DB with Father Mateo using this. And so you have Father Mateo, and you can take scavenging. So you can have your Codex of Ages, his book, and you can scavenge it each time you investigate or whatnot. And you, let's see, because you would when you reveal, discard the Codex, so then it's in your discard pile, then you scavenge it back and you play it for essentially free with Astral Mirror and Antiquary. And Antiquary, there we go. Okay, so you get a guaranteed free investigate Elder Sign effect, which would give you an extra action. Oh my goodness. Wow,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea, and maybe perhaps we're a ways off, but the idea of more hand assets that have a splashy effect when they enter play.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like allies kind of fill that slot. I think like the Seeker allies are basically the only ones that kind of have that specific niche. But if we got a small suite of cards that did that in the hand slot, then suddenly this archetype's looking a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if the game were mine to develop, that's possibly one way I would push this.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Oh man, and then using the Elder Sign to trigger Crystal Pendulum, because you can name the number you're going to pass by, because you're going to get the Elder Sign, so you know.
Uh-huh.
And also
so you know. Oh, yeah.
And also Prescient.
Yep.
Because you know what you're
pull it right back.
Symbol. Oh man. Well, I know what I'm bringing to BusterCon. This is 10 out of 10 jank is what this is, and I am here for it.
We crested the hill a while ago, but I'm in love with the fact that there are so many cool things that I'll like log on to Arkham DB. I'm not as much in the card, the deck building game as much as I used to be, just because we do so much other stuff, so I don't have as much energy to devote to it. But like, there's shit that people think of, and like the weird combos that they pull together, and like the things that certain specific investigators can do that never would have occurred to me. That I get to see on Arkham DB. The card pool is in such a fun place.
Yeah. Now it does have double versatile though, which makes me want to kind of throw up in my mouth.
40 card Mateo, huh?
With
what are we versatiling for? What's worth 10 extra cards?
Isn't it scavenging?
Is it scavenging? Okay, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that makes it all happen, but still.
At least Mateo has the 5 XP to spend up front.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
At least you don't have to like opt into it a scenario and a half later or something.
Yeah. And Xylo's saying they're playing it in return, circle and done with it. When it works, it shines. When it doesn't, well.
That is consummate jank then.
Yeah.
Much like my Jane Foster Mr. Negative deck in Snap.
Yes. We'll get there.
When it pops, it pops.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's move on to perhaps Amina's real signature card.
Ellie Rubash. So it's me, right? Yeah. Ellie Rubash.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Purifying Purpose. 3 cost asset, level 2. willpower and agility icons. Ally and witch traded. You get +1 skill value when resolving a skill test on an attached asset. 1 doom on each attached asset. Each attached asset does not count towards the agenda's doom threshold. Squiggly Boy, exhaust Ellie Rubash. Choose an asset in your play area with 1 or more doom on it. Attach it to Ellie Rubash, or switch it with an attached asset. Limit 2 attached assets. 1 health, 2 sanity, and ally slotted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like it.
So we did have the opportunity to preview L ahead of TSK. Though obviously we didn't know everything that was coming in the box. Now that we do, I'm confident in saying that if you're doing kind of like dedicated Doom play, particularly with those hand assets that we have in this box, you run L.
Mm-hmm.
You just do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because she gives you a lot more cushion to be wrong and or reckless with your Doom.
Yep.
She gives you a skill boost. And like you have some flexibility. You can move around the cards that you're using on her at any given time, depending on what you're doing. And that's kind of a cool thing for Mystic to continue to be flexible.
Also, like, opens up more slots. Like your ally slot, she can now take like 2 of your spells out of your arcane slots.
Yeah, but they still take up your slots. It's just that the Doom on them doesn't count toward the threshold, but she doesn't save you any slots.
No?
I don't think. There's nothing on here that says. If I'm wrong, that's great, but I
what's
don't think I am.
the Seeker dig 9 to find an artifact? I always use an Ursula.
Dig 9 to find an artifact?
Seeker ally.
Upgraded Witten Green?
No. Come on,
Oh,
chat.
Ellie Horowitz.
Horowitz, this. Okay.
Dr. Ellie Horowitz to you.
Horowitz. Oh, wrong place. Okay.
You're looking for a comparison. Yeah, she specifically says it doesn't take up its slots.
Okay. That's what I was missing. Okay.
We get a level 4 L in the future where assets on her don't take up their normal slots. That would be baller.
I think that'd have to be level 5.
I was gonna say that's gotta run higher, doesn't it?
That's fair.
It would be level 5 and should be a 2/3 instead of a 1/2. That's
that.
That's what I'm calling.
Sure. I'd play that.
And there'd be more cats in the art.
Yeah. 1 cat per more XP. So.
Does this play like potentially a like 5-year art for an FFG employee, or am I just? She's just of the olive archetype, I guess.
I could see it because it's one of those where it's slightly more zoomed out, a little more detail on the facial features, as opposed to it seems like the other ones that aren't are a little closer. They're panned in closer, and then it's more about, oh, here's the details that make this person unique, as opposed to a scene for the person.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you that, like, if this is a FFG employee, that cat is their cat.
Oh yeah,
because that cat also is like, yeah. Does the cat need to be there? And also, wouldn't, like, if you're doing this as an art that's not an FFG person, would you have like a black cat with like glowing eyes or something? You know, like it just. I think you're right. I mean, I'm gonna guess
it is MJ who probably like requisitioned this art, if it's not a 5-year art, which I'm leaning in that direction.
Oh, it might be one of
MJ
MJ's cats.
is known to just like insert cats places.
Yes. Also, probably one of her cats.
Quite possibly.
Anyways, it's the cat's 5-year art. Yes. That's what I'm going.
That's my headcanon.
Yep.
Anyway, L, great.
Yep.
Use her if you're dooming, because she's good. Outside of the cards that are in this box, can you think of any cards that are good with her? Like maybe. Oh yeah, I suppose Divermis. I think she would work with Divermis.
Choose an asset in your play area is, oh my goodness, what's his name? Marie's signature weakness.
Baron Samdi.
The Baron?
Is he in your play area? He is, because he takes up your ally slot,
Yeah, but
right?
well, if you've got charisma, yes. But if you don't, then he's already kicked out L, and it's a non-starter.
Right. But doesn't he come in with a Doom on him? No.
I think you have to crank him for your first Doom.
But he would make it easier to deal with.
Yes.
And with Marie, you would also use this, because then you get the extra action, right? Like if you have something with a Doom on it. So I can see this in Marie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And if you have charisma, you have this and either Renfield or Arcane Initiate.
Yeah, that's 10 XP for Renfield.
Oh, we won't talk about that. But Arcane Initiate,
Tell me why that was worth 3 XP.
who comes in with a Doom on her, and now you attach her to Ellie, and then when Samidi comes, you just knock out the Arcane Initiate, and you're able to get
Sure.
him to his 3 Doom with only 2 counting towards the limit, which is often a big issue.
Yeah, and like some people just really like the Arcane Initiate. Some people really swear by the Initiate. So if you've got charisma and you've got L, then you can just play down the Initiate and never have to ask the question of how am I going to deal with that Doom, and just draw away, which is pretty nice.
And find your spells. The thing is that the Initiate doesn't have a skill test on her, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So you'd only be getting the Doom benefit.
yeah. Which, I mean, you can also have a second asset attached. So whatever spell you have that has a Doom on it to power Marie, you're good.
Ooh, I like Abyssal Tome in L, because my problem with Abyssal Tome is like you've got to ride on a Doom to get it to actually do serious damage for a while. But the idea that you could just sit and have one of those Doom not matter, that makes that card a lot better.
Yeah.
Not great, but I would argue that it's possibly better than the Sickle.
It is 100% better than the Sickle.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, if it has 1 Doom on it, it gives you +1, and you can either use your intellect or willpower to fight, and it deals +1 damage. And it counts for
Love it.
0 Doom, and it's a once per turn because it exhausts, but still, yeah.
That's the downside. And in the Witching Hour, you can kind of go nuts with it. One time. All right, let's move on. A classic Doom card, if you will. It's me, isn't it? Moonlight Ritual is now a level 2 0-cost Mystic event. It still has the spell and insight traits. It has an intellect, an agility, and a wild icon. It now has fast, which I feel like is the most important thing on this card.
Yes.
Play only during your turn. Remove all Doom from a non-elite card at your location.
So you can take it off of enemies.
Uh-huh.
You can also still take it off your cards.
Uh-huh.
It's fast. You
Uh-huh.
can take
And free.
Doom. Yeah, you can take Doom off your friends' cards.
Yes.
If they're at your location. Yeah, that's...
You imagine in those scenarios where the fucking Brotherhood cultist is like drawn you 2 tentacles and you're like, oh my god, he's gonna blow up an entire agenda himself.
Mm-hmm.
Fast.
Also, Sailor Moon flavor text. So,
Oh, is that? Oh yeah, that is what that's from.
which I know Maxine has certainly watched. So, I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, MJ's an anime fan. Ooh, it's thundering outside. All right, that's fun. Yeah, I mean, this now becomes a pretty good staple in pretty much all the Doom decks.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably including level 0 in those Doom decks for those moments where something gets out of hand and you have to course correct.
Mm-hmm.
For 2 XP, this is a really solid, it makes it free and it makes it fast and it expands its use.
Yeah.
Super solid. I have been wondering whether it would be worth it to have a Diana Esperance where you put this on there and then you kind of go nuts with other Doom effects,
Ooh.
knowing that at any moment for free and fast you can just like clear a card of Doom. I've yet to flesh that deck out, but that's a thought I've had.
Oh, and you could use the permanent mystic, the talent, put Doom on it, and then you get +3 to...
Yeah. Blood
willpower
Pact.
intellect? Blood Pact, yep.
Yeah, willpower or combat. Yep, super solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's a really, really good. This is possibly the best pressure release valve that the Doom archetype has, and like that's exactly what the Doom archetype needs. So if you're playing Doom, this is a phenomenal card.
I only wish that there was another card like Moonlight Ritual that worked very similarly, but it was named something that wasn't Moonlight Ritual, so you get four, essentially 4 copies of Moonlight Ritual. You know what I mean? Like,
Agree.
You
The
know, it's
closest we have is like Sacrifice,
yeah,
but it's not exactly the same.
yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
I think we just
Sin Eater.
have Sin Eater left.
Yeah. And then Uncage the Soul 3. But why don't you
that's right.
read?
Yep.
Why don't you eat that sin?
Oh, I'm hungry.
No.
Sin Eater. Asset ritual traded. It is permanent and exceptional. Level 3. Squiggly Boy. Exhaust Sin Eater. Move 1 Doom from an asset you control to Sin Eater. Then either ready that asset or place 1 charge on it. Action. Remove all Doom from Sin Eater.
That's this ties the archetype together.
Seems pretty good if that's the way you're playing.
Yep. 6 XP. But I mean it is permanent, which I like to see. If you're gonna pay that much for a card and it's so needed for the archetype, like it being permanent is top notch.
This is one I'd be very, very curious. I'm tying this back to the house rules episode, but the house rule that came up, and I think we ran with a little bit of essentially purchasing cards on credit so that you could just start with it. And then granted, you're probably unlikely to get the 6 XP to start, so then you got to carry forward a little interest if you do that, but that would unlock the deck real fast.
you can put this like L can like temporarily at least attach this to her, right? So like even 1 Doom on this could potentially not be counted.
Yeah.
If she's got space, like that's solid. And like bank it for when you need to do it later. We just need like 1 or 2 cards that lets you move Doom from a card you control to an enemy, and then this archetype is popping. Then String of Curses pops off. Yeah, it's really cool.
You know what's interesting?
Also,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm gonna go off on a like lore tangent, so you go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say this in Mateo. If you take In the Thick of It, you could start with this and 2 copies of Ghastly Possession. Right from, or Binder's Jar. Oh no, Binder's Jar doesn't matter. But Ghastly Possession. So now you've got, like, baby, you got a stew going, and all your level 0 add Doom things could work a lot better.
He might be an interesting vehicle for that deck.
Yeah.
I never considered him before. Mostly because I always forget when an investigator gets bonus XP.
Oh, all the time. Mateo's the only one I remember
remember
because I think he was the first one.
Yes, he was the first one.
And then everyone
And
else.
then we also have Kaimani and Parallel Roland.
Oh yeah, Parallel Roland.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
As if he needed
it's a
it.
thing that just slides off my brain far
Yep.
too easily. Also, just want to point out that it's interesting thematically because what is depicted in the art here, I believe, is a Prince Rupert's drop, which is a tadpole shaped drop of molten glass that is quickly hardened in water, and it's like extremely resilient to pressure.
Yeah.
So, like, within the context of, like, hey, this is how you tie together the Doom archetype and dealing with the pressure of all that Doom, I thought it was a very interesting interpretation on the art. It's not what I expected, you know, for the Doom archetype permanent,
Yeah.
but it's pretty cool.
Man, that was fun and educational.
You really uncaged some knowledge there, Sean.
Yeah, we did.
Uncaged the soul.
Yeah.
Oh. Is it me?
It's you. Go.
Okay. Uncaged the soul. Level 3. Mystic event. 0 cost. Level 3. Test icons are willpower and wild. Spirit traded. And you may discard a spell or ritual asset you control. Play a spell or ritual card from your hand or discard pile, reducing its cost by 3. From your hand or discard pile is the key there. Get something back and essentially refill it. And you may also discard something that maybe has too much Doom on it. That you wouldn't be able
Possibly.
to. You wouldn't be able to. I don't know. Let's say you have two things in your hands that you want to keep around, but one has a lot of Doom, or you can't play down a third hand thing because you don't have it. But you do want to play a spell you've used up from your discard pile. Now you can play that spell for 3 less, and also discard the ceremonial sickle or something like that. So, not because it has Doom on it, just because it's garbage. No, just kidding.
I mean, it's a good swippity swap, and
Yeah.
like also it's really good for just straight up if you've got a key spell that your deck's kind of built around. I'm thinking about like Mind's Eye and Patrice. Of course,
Yeah.
she can't take this, but
No, she cannot.
Mind's Eye and someone else who
Yeah.
could take it,
In anyone else.
or just any other key spell where like you would really prefer to keep this specific spell around. Suddenly, you can go from 0 to full at -3 cost.
Yeah.
And like this is basically a recharge.
Yeah. I even like this on, like, let's say you're running Shrivelings and Rite of Seekings and all this stuff. This is just copies 3 and 4 of whatever you need from your toolbox of a discard pile.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Playing from the discard pile in any faction other than Survivor is super notable.
I thought you were going to say playing from the discard pile in any card game ever is just
Well-
rife with trouble.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Yeah.
There's that too. But we've been singing that song ever since Survivor became a thing. I'm just noting that this is not a red card. Yeah, I mean it's really good. 3 XP for this kind of effect is not nothing.
No, it's spicy, but I think depending on... We need an Uncage the Soul report to find the spell that you're going to be recurring. But...
Well, I mean, and God, just the fact that it like goes, you can go through your discard pile as well.
Yeah.
Like
That's
this
the-
adds a lot of flexibility to this. And on top of that, the initial part, you may discard a spell or ritual asset you control, is asset focused, but the rest of it, you may play a spell or ritual card from your hand or discard pile. This can also be a vehicle for your 3rd and 4th copies of Spectral Razor. Or if you haven't taken or Power Word,
Yeah.
or any number of spell events that you might want to play a few more times, like that's pretty solid as well.
The only
Downside,
you take a tap opportunity. Yeah.
You got it.
Yep.
Same as level 0. And you know what? It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you get a and it's very Mystic. It's not printed on the card, but like Mystic cards, powerful effects, possibility of downsides, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. Love it.
All right. Well, that's
yeah,
it.
So Mystic cards. It's an interesting clutch of cards.
Yep.
Obviously, the Doom mechanic got more play than anything else, and I think it. You know what? I want to ask you guys first. Where do you guys think like the Doom mechanic as a deck archetype is at after getting this box, where it got a ton of development?
It got a ton of development.
I would say it's at like a true 1.0 version, and everything before this was like a beta or a preview, and now it's ready to actually build on it.
I think, yeah, similar to that. Like before, it was like a cobbled together kind of weird. You have a couple cards, but none of them really, like, they kind of synergize, but not really. But now you can have like your whole deck is just humming on it. That being said, for me personally, it is not an archetype that I look forward to playing because I'm not always sure that the amount of effort and the cards needed and all that stuff is worth the outcomes you get for me, especially based on scenarios and like how much Doom threshold do you have on the agenda and all that stuff. Like there's just so many variables, and it can just like absolutely sink games if done incorrectly, and guaranteed at some point I'm going to do it incorrectly and get burned.
Yeah.
So I'm just like pre hesitating. I don't know. Some people love it though.
Yeah, and I love the idea of it, and I love certain aspects of it. You guys know I love purple cards, right? That's kind of my thing. If we're gonna go back to the Arkham player archetypes, I think I'm definitely like primarily a killer. That's kind of where I sit. I kind of feel like I don't know when it happened, and it didn't happen like all at once by any means, but we kind of hit a point where so many things about Mystic have been about like a cool, big, splashy effect with the possibility for a downside. That may or may not be very impactful. And like, you know, there's various balances there of like how often it happens versus how big it is. It was interesting design space. I feel like we crossed a threshold at some point where like Mystics retained the something bad might happen thing, but like we really lost so much of the splash of the good thing that you get.
Yeah.
And like a lot of cards, you know, they do things and they're fine and you can play them, but it's been a while. Like it's just like I just want to be more excited about the cool thing that I'm getting for this cost that I'm potentially paying. And with Doom cards in particular, like you said, Scott, it's cool when you can do it. You always run the chance, particularly in higher player counts, of tanking some progress by getting too overzealous or just even getting bad luck with the encounter draws. I want more splash for what I pay for Mystic stuff, you know?
Yep, I feel you, 100%.
But you know, overall, I really like what the cards here we're looking at and trying to do. The Doom mechanic, I've continually said this. I want to like Amina more than I do. If anyone's got a killer Amina deck list, I'm happy to see it.
Yes, please.
Because I would be very glad to change my opinion on Amina. Right now, I believe Amina to be very mid. And like you can make her better with a bunch of the Doom stuff, but again, I just feel like so much of the Doom stuff costs so much for the fact that it also plays with Doom, which itself is a big cost. I don't know.
It really feels like this is the baseline that they're going to build on, and not to say that doesn't make her playable right now, but I really hope it doesn't just stop here. It might be a little bit before we get more cards for it, but it just feels like that, right?
I hope so.
Hey, we need more bless and curse mechanic and so forth. I hope it's like that. I really do, because otherwise it does feel a little bit like a one-off.
Yeah, and like they could totally build off of what's here, and it could get a lot better than it is. But if there's any one thought I want to put out there that might possibly influence conversation or something, it's that like, man, I miss the splash. I miss the big splash that Mystic cards used to have. Because the downside's still there, especially when you start looking at upgrades. But the splash it has gotten smaller. All right. But anyway, fun cards. Really cool set. Guys, let's move on to a little bit of tentacle time. Justin, I suspect you and I will be talking roughly about the same things. So, Scott, what's been grabbing you?
So remember that time where I had 899 Korok seeds? That time
I tell that story to my wife and child sometimes.
Yeah, that time is now over. I have successfully found the last Korok seed. It took me only about 3 hours. So that was nice.
For the last seed.
Just for that single one, because
how many hours do you have in Breath of the Wild at this point? Do you know?
I do know, because I actually took a picture, and I'm just over 230 hours.
Okay, that's actually not as many as I expected. Like that's a big game. That's respectable.
Yep. Yeah, and I also found out in order to 100% the game, you have to obviously get all the shrines, do the whole story, get all the Korok seeds. But then you actually, all the words on the map, like the names of places? There's 216 of them. You have to make, and they only appear when you go across that piece of land. And so today, I finally did it. I 100%ed Breath of the Wild. And yes, Big Kahuna, that is 230 hours on the single playthrough. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Sometimes I'll
Beautiful.
just sit down.
in time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say sometimes I just sit down and I just go play and I just like I don't
Yeah.
know, go find enemies and fight them, like fighting the Lionels. Oh, great fun. But yeah,
It's a great open world. Like it is one of the better and most like quickly accessible open worlds that are out there. So you have 3 whole weeks to sit and rest and wait
Yeah.
for Tears of the Kingdom to drop.
I do. Yeah, I'm excited. Breath of the Wild is, God, it's still this is a statement. It is the best video game I have ever played, in my opinion.
You know,
Okay, that is a statement.
Yeah.
that's one game I could see deserving that statement.
Yeah, and not like
It's only because you
Best-
haven't played Bloodborne yet, but that's fine. I know you're not a Sony boy.
yeah, it is fantastic. So
I am super excited for Tears of the Kingdom. We are going to have to start a Tears of the Kingdom channel, a Triforce Warrior
Trifart,
channel.
yep.
Trifart,
Trifart Warrior. Yep, I'll get on that right away.
Triforce Warrior channel. Have you played any of the Hyrule Warriors games at all that kind of link up with this? I've been eyeing those, but I've yet to dip a toe in.
I bought one of them and I played it for like 3 hours, and then I got bored and went back to Breath of the Wild.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because Warriors games are their own entity.
Yeah, it was weird. It wasn't what I was expecting. So
A very long time player of the Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors. And Warriors Orochi. I played those up to like 8.
yeah, I pre-ordered the game today, Tears of the Kingdom. I bought a new micro SD card so I can actually fit the game on my Switch, because I'm just gonna do it digitally. I get off my night shift at like 11:30 the evening right before it launches, so I will get home, sit down, start it.
Download. Yep.
No, because it pre-downloads. So like
Oh.
I will get home, like I leave work around like 11:15 or something. Like I will get home, have time to like, I don't know, put some toast in the toaster, grab a drink, and like run up to my couch and then play. And I'm taking the next day off on vacation to do
You
it.
need
So,
to get one of those, like the beer helmets, and just have protein
Yes.
shakes preloaded in them. So all you have to do, pull it out of the fridge, put on the helmet, start playing.
yeah,
And a catheter, so
And
you
I was
never
gonna
have
say-
to go up to pee.
get a catheter before I leave work, and we're good.
Oh my god. Does anyone else's urethra just hurt or tingle a little bit when you hear the word catheter? It does for me.
No, but
No,
okay.
but I appreciate you shared that.
yeah.
It just makes my tummy feel funny sometimes.
Sean and Justin, what are you guys doing? Not involving catheters, please.
Well, funny
Well,
you should
now
ask,
that you
Sean.
mention it.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
how we
I
have the
mentioned
exact
on-
same joke.
I mentioned it on the last episode because one of us had to talk about Midnight Suns since I had started playing it. So don't worry, I carried the torch, but that was all the more I really said.
I did hear, yes.
I've been playing the crap out of Midnight Suns. I actually beat it last night.
Nice.
So
Like the main story, or
the main story, yep.
Okay.
Yep. Boy, is that game good. Now, when I say good, to clarify for anyone who doesn't know my game style, if I was scoring it and actually doing a review, I'd maybe give it a high 7 or an 8 because there's definitely some warts. Mm-hmm. But boy, is
There's
it
some hilarious bugs,
yes,
too.
but boy, is it a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Like, it's just such a singular game. Like, it is the product of so many other types of games that came before it, kind of conglomerated into one beautiful masterpiece with the Marvel property slapped on it. And not slapped, it's like it's well applied, but like you could do this type of game in a lot of different settings. Yeah, it's so fun. And I believe if the DLC release cadence continues from the prior 3, Storm should drop this week. So I've been very painfully biding my time, just waiting. I have, because I can't control myself completely, I have gone through a few more story missions and advanced the main story a bit, but I am really, really, really just waiting for Storm. So I don't know. When she finally drops, I might just start a whole new game so I can have her from, the soonest I can have her.
There is, I didn't know this, and this might help. There is a new game plus.
That will help. Yes,
So,
it will.
Yeah.
Although I did Dude Hunter for my first playthrough. I think I might do Chick Hunter and see, how the voice acting compares. Matthew Mercer did a very good job. I think he's a good fit for Dude Hunter.
Dude Hunter is fun. Boy, some of the lines are meant to be, hey, I am resurrected from the 1600s and out of place are real good.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's got a fun tone.
My favorite is the taunt he has in battle, where he goes, Blade said I should ask about your mother. Apparently she is promiscuous.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But yeah, anybody who has even a passing interest in Midnight Suns, it's great. I'm usually not a person who buys games this close to release, but I did want to support it. And I mean, it's also...
And it needs the support.
It needs the support, so definitely check it out if you're interested. It was already less than half price, including it was less than half MSRP and included all the DLC when I got it. So it is well worth your time. Sean, I was wondering about this. If this game had dropped, let's say 5 to 7 years ago, before we were past the point of superhero saturation, closer to the release points of XCOM 2 at that point, I'm wondering if it issues with its release window aside, if it would have performed better.
I mean, I think so. I guess I don't have a good feel of exactly how many people are just like straight up uninterested in superhero movies anymore, or just in those characters, or if it's just like the superhero movies specifically, like they're just not interested in the movies, but like, hey, other media might do well. I guess I don't know where the pulse is on that.
Yeah.
But
well, and I guess they couldn't even make the Avengers game work, so that's a more mainstream thing as well, which is unfortunate because that's actually a really fun single player game. The multiplayer is hot trash, but
and that's what they leaned into so hard.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like the faceplant that was that game probably did a lot of damage to Midnight Suns by association.
Sure.
I mean, look, from my very, very amateur spot in analyzing all of this, I think the release window was the biggest mistake in the whole thing. But yeah, there are lots of factors. Yeah. Anyway, even if you've got a little bit of malaise going on for the MCU, this follows way more closely to the comics. It definitely takes some cues from the MCU. Like, for instance, Iron Man is kind of a RDJ from Wish.com. Though ultimately, Justin and I were talking about this. I didn't like him at first, but ultimately they've differentiated what the character does with that performance enough that he kind of stands a little bit separate from RDJ at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe I've just put 100 hours into the game without advancing the story, and I'm punch drunk.
No, there's enough change. It's if they had picked a different voice actor, it wouldn't have even been an issue. But the voice actor does a Wish.com version or imitation of Robert Downey Jr. And so you hear that, and then you're like, oh, is he trying to do that, or what's happening? And but then you have other characters in there who are entirely different.
Yeah, not even close. Like Captain America, for instance, has like a narrator voice.
Yeah. So
like he sounds like the dude who should be reading the opening credits to you.
Anyway, Midnight Suns, it's pretty great. I think that's been everything I've been doing. I haven't fallen off of Snap, but I've played much less of it, and I'm no longer playing daily, purely because I've sort of capped out a lot of the progression. I will continue to play that one for quite a while, but they need to figure out something with getting more cards and other forms of the currency for those of us who aren't going to drop a ton of money into it if I will be in it more than like another, let's call it a year. which sounds,
Yeah.
I mean, a year is still pretty great for something
That's
like
a decent
that.
amount of time to play with the game.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's me. What else for you, Sean?
Yeah, Snap a bit for me. I've kind of just maintained the same trajectory with it. I think I'm probably behind all you guys as far as like collection and stuff goes, but I've slow and steady, trying out new deck types where I can pull the cards together for them. I've been playing with a basically just a rock loading deck.
Ooh, debris. And
Yeah, with debris and Korg and Rock Slide and
You're a
trying to
jerk.
think what else. Spider-Man. Yeah, basically like it's the kind of deck type that I hate to play against.
Mhm.
But I got the cards for it. And then I throw a Patriot in my deck so that, I'm playing the rocks out too, but my rocks are better than your rocks.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's been fun. I don't know. I feel like despite how actually mechanically simple the overall game mechanics are, there is a remarkable amount of deck space and variance to the way you play that I've been able to, whenever I feel myself getting bored, just straight up switch to a new deck. And even if I hate it, even if it takes me 16 goddamn games to figure out how to play properly, I'll do that. And eventually my love, rekindles.
It is quite good for that. I think they're learning too about how to more quickly balance the meta if it emerges, because I interpret it as they didn't understand the amount of hate they'd get when they didn't fully nerf the Shuri Red Skull combo. And then when they did part of it and it wasn't even the truly problematic part, and then I think they did actually see a drop in player base. I think they've realized, okay, we can't just have, I don't want to call it an automatic deck, but that competitive a deck, and it's only that one, and there's only one or two things you can do against it.
Well, I can only imagine, because that happens in like so many competitive card games, is you have a deck that just rises to the top of the current meta. But with Snap in particular, with how quickly you churn through games and how many games overall get played, like that one deck rising to the top is inevitable, much like Thanos.
Well, and the bummer of it is they would then say, oh, well, there's this potential counter to it. Yeah, but it's in pool 5.
Yeah.
So if the only way that I can counter this thing that's built on pool 3 and 4 cards is to pay or get real lucky, no, I have a limited number of hours in the day. I've got other things I can do. Thanks.
I agree. Yeah, and then beyond that, just playing Midnight Suns, and I'm quite sure that the next time we check in and I actually talk about Midnight Suns, I'll have so much to say because I'll actually have been able to just play it at the pace I want to play it. But yeah. Oh, the other thing I did, one last thing, tiny thing, is I restarted playing the Metal Gear Solid series. And by that, I mean I watched like long form story summaries, like 5-hour videos on 1 and 2. I've played 3 the most of the series, and I booted up 4. So Guns of the Patriots right now, and it's been fun. I haven't played it since it came out in like fucking 2008. I have my PS3 hooked up, which feels kind of quaint at this point. But yeah, playing through Metal Gear Solid again, and I'm probably gonna do Phantom Pain when I get done. Great series.
Nice.
Anyway. All right. Well, thank you everyone for sticking through with us on this particularly verbose episode. We've crested 3 hours a while ago.
We're at 3.5. We're at 3.5.
My. Well, here at Mythos Busters, you get a lot of bang for your buck. You can consume this in
Quantity
5
over
separate
quality
sittings.
is what we game for.
And let's be honest, we got Sean talking about Mystics. We knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's fair. It's fair.
I'm sure I can cut it down a bit in editing. We'll see.
I had a lot to get out from missing last episode. That's just how it works.
This episode is longer than one of my Legend of the Zelda playthroughs, I think.
Oh boy. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for 152. We'll see you guys hopefully at BusterCon. Go register if you haven't already. We'll love to see you there, and we'll see you guys for sure for 153.